Here's some positive news. Corbyn is already tied with Labor. That is crazy. That is crazy that's how unpopular Labor is. Labor needs to stop. Labor needs to stop instantly. That is incredible, by the way. As I told you, reform would be cooking. Reform will be cooking, and they are. God, England is so busted. British politics is so fucking broken, dude. I don't know what is going on with England. I can't comprehend it. I can't understand it. I don't want to even have like, I don't even want to have like, I don't have the mental fortitude to comprehend what's happening there. All right, let's blast off. Let's get started. Let's get it twisted. It's Monday, Newsday. As always, we got a lot to talk about. Epstein fallout continues. Trump keeps blasting tariffs. ICE raids take lives. Congressman visit alligator. Is it buzzing again? The buzz happening again? Okay, it's happening. It's not like, it's not a consistent thing, right? It's just like a 1 second buzz, right? You should be fine with that. Like you're gonna survive, I think. Like every now and then it rarely buzzes. I think you'll maybe hear a little buzz every now and then. It's okay. It's become the new F, it seems. Trump moves back, dem position on, Trump moves to dem position on Ukraine. Get in now. Twitch.tv/Hasanabi. Okay. Now it made a pip sound. I don't know what's happening, but he's going to crash out the stream. No, I think so too. I don't know what's going on with whatever the fuck's happening on my stream today, but I suspect I'm gonna inevitably crash the fuck out and end the stream. If your goal is to try to get me to like end the broadcast, then you know you're gonna succeed. If this is your opportunity, if you were like early on this Monday morning, like I'm gonna try to fucking make sure this dude stops streaming, then keep pushing, you know, keep pushing. I will fucking lose my mind. I am so goddamn close to losing my fucking mind. Can people DDoS streams? What is this? It's not only you.
I have signed Newsday. Pluto's no longer my account manager.
But he's not even in LA. So I don't know what's happening. Why is it happening to him? Isn't he in like, where the fuck is he? Where's Felix? He uses IRL toolkit too. NMP had issue. His is so much worse too. He's having visual glitch problem. NMP's having issues as well. You think it's a Twitch problem? Has to do with the CDN networks and other infrastructure issues. Why are people saying big F? I'm not experiencing it. I'm not seeing it on my end at all. There is no F on my end. Why are people saying big F? Are you guys just fucking around? What's happening? What? There is nothing on my end. I'm not monitoring anything on my end. Dude, stop streaming. Then keep pushing, you know, keep pushing. I will fucking lose my mind. I am so goddamn close to losing my fucking mind. You're getting one guide? No, there's like people saying that there's like mad glitches and shit. There's just a lot of mini Fs. Now you're glitching, bro. There's some distortion, bud. I'm not seeing it on my end, so I don't know how to fucking fix it. There's nothing on my end now. In the morning, when it was effing, I could see it on my end. It was like an issue from my ISP, I thought. But now I'm trying to trouble fix, but it might be a Twitch related issue. Like it probably is a site-wide problem. Because if there's any sort of issues that's taking place, the buzzing probably on my end. Wait, why are you mad? None of these Fs matter. It's all love, baby. I don't know. Dude, there's nothing more fucking annoying than having to trouble fix a IT problem in front of 30,000 people. Every single person thinks that they're an IT specialist. And every single person is just like losing their fucking minds. And on top of that, there is no way to like identify. There's multiple points of failure. There are multiple points of failure. It could be my ISP that's notoriously dog shit. Okay. It could be the IRL toolkit that experiences issues from time to time, which is the server that I use to beam this footage to a server and then to Twitch. It could be the Twitch related. It could be a Twitch server side problem. So like all of this stuff combined makes it so annoying to fucking try and fix regardless, but it's especially annoying to try and fix in front of 30,000 IT specialists who believe that they literally have the answer, but they have no fucking answer whatsoever because they have no understanding of how this is going on. It could be AWS related problems as well. It could be a million different issues, many of which is outside of my control. So I don't know. I don't know why it's buzzing. I don't know why these like little blips and little glitches take place. You don't have to clip every time there's a fucking little glitch. Let's just keep going. Let's keep it pushing. If I were you, I'd just never stop midstream. What do you mean? And right on the dot. It's like a joke. Like everything is so broken all the fucking time. Right on the fucking dot. Right on the dot. It hasn't rained today yet. It's just like I don't know what's happening, and it's unimaginably frustrating. And I don't know. Maybe it's an IRL toolkit related issue. That's what I suspect it is. Like it could be AWS. It could be IRL toolkit. It could be fucking Twitch servers that are cooked. It could be a million different problems. But in any case, we're going to get started. I blasted off already Superman Super Woke. We briefly covered that. I mean, not briefly. We actually extensively covered that yesterday. So I'm not going to get back into that. But there is probably some new molding taking place on the Superman Super Woke saga. A lot of people are fucking losing their minds over it because they have nothing else to live for. So obviously we'll be talking about like the hogwatch element of this all. Yeah. Superman Super Woke, the man responsible for turning your kids into woke queer commies. But yeah, Zoran Mamdani has obviously made a lot of waves in both the Democratic Party and also just American politics in general as a fairly successful leftist candidate. He's making waves. And clearly, as soon as that happens, as soon as someone starts making waves, the Democrats look at that and go, we should also change. We should also do this. We should do our very best to behave like this, to try and ensure that we try to figure out what the essence of Zoran is, what has caused Zoran to be so successful, and then recreate it in our own image, use it to our own advantage. And of course, Andrew Cuomo, who just lost to Zoran, predictably doesn't realize that the thing that made Zoran successful was the policies and the people-backed candidacy born out of his earnest interest in advancing people's material conditions, the working class's material conditions. He was able to create this massive ground game as a direct consequence of identifying issues that people were experiencing in New York and then offering solutions and constantly just pushing on those issues over and over again, having a people first candidacy, having a people's first campaign. But of course, Democrats refuse to do that. So I guess the only thing that they're doing in its stead is the videos, man on the street videos. We're here. We're going to see a lot of Democrats, annoying Democrats of all different backgrounds, try to do the Zoran like man on the street style, videos. So get ready for that because they literally think it's just social media. They think it is just about like going outside and filming yourself and then making social media stuff. They think it's just aesthetics, which is incredibly fucking stupid. Okay, it is incredibly stupid. Yeah, Zoran has a big speech addressing his supporters and stuff. We'll look at that too, but let's continue. Let's see.
I'm Andrew Cuomo, and unless you've been living under a rock, you probably know that the Democratic primary did not go the way I had hoped. To the 440,000 New Yorkers who voted for me,
this guy did not want to be on camera. That's so funny. He tries to dab up. Look at this.
Did not go the way I had hoped. To the
that's staged, okay? And that's a Parks guy. That's a New York Parks guy, and he did not want to be on it. Look at this.
140,000 New Yorkers who voted.
He literally doesn't even turn around. He doesn't even look at Andrew Cuomo in the face, and he just basically keeps it pushing. He goes, okay, dabbed you up, keep going.
Voted for me, a sincere thank you. Thank you for believing in me, in my agenda, and in my experience. And I am truly sorry that I let you down. But as my grandfather used to say,
bro, this is, oh my God, he's trying to do Zoran. He's trying to do the classic, the Zoran walk from point to point. When Zoran did tip to tip and went from one part of Manhattan to the top of New York, or I think he did the 5 boroughs walk, whatever. Like when Zoran did that thing after he got like death threats, it's crazy. It's crazy to see Andrew Cuomo trying to like recreate that, not realizing that it's not just about, not realizing that it's not just about the fact that he got hella people shaking his hands. Okay, when he did that shit, it wasn't about like people shaking his hands on video. It was how much that materialized into a real ground game. It was how impactful his policies, his agenda was. These people literally think it's just fake. They think Zoran Mamdani looked good on these social media hits, and that's the reason why people were dabbing him up, not realizing that he was nothing. Okay, Zoran was nobody. I'm sorry, this is not disrespectful to Zoran. This is just the reality. He was just a fucking low-level assemblyman. The reason why people were dabbing his ass up everywhere he went is because people believed in the policies. That's it. And that social media campaign was not fake. It was just a way to show. It was just a way to show how popular he was with like regular folk out of nowhere. That's the thing. You can see this gap playing out in the young/old races. Some of the elderly members do social, and it looks like cameo. It looks like the cameo you get from a celebrity you thought was dead. I think these guys unironically have deluded themselves into believing, okay? I think these guys unironically deluded themselves into believing a falsehood. Oh, believing a falsehood that the thing that made Zoran popular was the social media videos, and not social media videos translating or showcasing the actual popularity of Zoran on the ground because of the policies. It always goes back to the policies. Zoran is a vessel. He is a vehicle. He is a politician. I don't understand why Democrats just keep forgetting this incredibly basic concept. I don't care about how sexy a politician is. I don't care about how charismatic a politician is. I care about a politician's policies. Their charisma helps. It doesn't hurt, but it only helps when they are communicating earnesty, okay? When they're communicating what they want to do. You can be the most charismatic person on the planet, but if your policies are dog shit, you're going to lose, okay? This is incredibly insincere. And yeah, Zoran ratioed his ass, apparently, where he contribute NewYorkCityVotes.org. New York City Campaign Finance Program gives you small donor contribution with a big impact. And all of this is happening as like Cuomo himself has not even acknowledged whether or not he's going to run. So this is a real will he, won't he type situation with Cuomo, ironically enough. So he's not even saying that he's actually going to run. I mean, he's so cooked. He's so cooked. You cannot have a banger social media campaign, okay?
You get knocked down. Learn the lesson and pick yourself back up and get in the game, and that is what I'm going to do. The fight to save our city isn't over. Only 13% of New Yorkers voted in the June primary. The general election is in November, and I am in it to win it.
Oh, he is in it.
My
okay,
opponent, Mr.
So this is his announcement that he's staying in.
Mamdani
Okay.
offers slick slogans, but no real solutions. We need a city with lower rent, safer streets, where buying your
Because he's gone back and forth on whether or not he's going to actually run. That's the hilarious part of this, is that he keeps going, yeah, I'm going to run, but I'm not going to run. I don't know if I want to run. And now he's running.
first home is once again possible, where childcare won't bankrupt you. That's the New York City we know. That's the one that is.
Bro, this is so fucking fake. I'm losing my mind. Oh my God, he's trying to. This is pathetic, bro. This is actually pathetic. He's trying to do the fucking Zoran thing. Oh, these guys are so awesome. They're so stupid. They are so fucking stupid. Exactly the kind of stupidity that I despise when they're running against Republicans, because this is exactly the type of stupidity that causes them to lose against Republicans. But right now, he's running against a Democrat. He's running against our guy. He's running against Zoran Mamdani. So I like that he's making these mistakes, because if he was smart, if he was actually intelligent, he would identify what caused Zohran Mamdani to get tremendous success. Because he didn't have the name recognition. Social media helped get him the name recognition, but it wasn't the charisma that allowed people to enjoy Zohran Mamdani or see Zohran Mamdani as a real dynamic candidate that they could rely on, that they could vote for. It wasn't his social media operation. It was his fucking policies. His policy always goes back to policies. You don't go to McDonald's just because of the marketing. You go because you like the Big Mac, okay? They're literally going into a laboratory and figuring out, like chemists are figuring out, how bad is the audio? Shut the fuck up! Fuck! Oh my God! There is nothing I can do. It's out of my control. It's not on my end. It's not happening because of me. Fuck! I don't know what to do. I think you got haters. It's insane. It's not. No, it's not. It's not my fucking haters. It's my stupid ass, autistic ass fucking fan base who literally cannot control themselves when they see like a minor fucking audio issue. That's it. It's not my fucking haters. It's my fans. It's you motherfuckers. Don't think it's somebody else. It's you. You're the one doing it. Don't act like this is a calculated operation. Take some fucking accountability, just like I need to take accountability, that I need to stop losing my fucking mind over this shit. But it's an issue that is completely outside of my control, and there's nothing I can do about it. So every single time there's a fucking blip or something, and people lose their minds over it, there's nothing I can do. Like, there's nothing I can do. And the fucking helplessness of it all makes it even more annoying, okay? Holy fuck. That's it. It's the same as, like, the misophonia, okay? Chat can't fucking contend with any minor... Hello? That was crazy. My roadcaster just, like, fucking restarted on its own. I don't even know why that happened. Maybe it was a roadcaster-related issue. Maybe it's fine now. Hopefully it's fine. We shall see. But... it's back now. Maybe it fixed itself. I don't know. Fuck me, dude. Holy shit. Bro, ignore chat today? No, I can't ignore chat. It is a big part of what I do. A big part of what I do is it requires me to fucking constantly have a back and forth communication with chat. Anyway. Ay. As I was saying, okay? You don't go to a restaurant. You don't go to a restaurant just because of the marketing. You go to that restaurant maybe one time because of the marketing, but you don't go back to that restaurant if it's just marketing. Okay? You need to have like an actual product. For politicians, their product is what they can do for you. Okay? Their product and what they're selling is what they can do for you. And a lot of these stupid fucking Democrats and many stupid Republicans as well just forget that their product, what they're serving for you, is their policies. It's that simple. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. This is at the heart of the democratic process. This is what democracy is all about. Okay? There are a million reasons as to why Zohran was as successful as he was as initially a relatively unknown figure in New York politics going into the Democratic primary, and then actually seizing all of the attention from this incredibly crowdy, incredibly busy primary race, and just making a name for himself successfully. And becoming basically like the singular force for progressive politics, like the guy that everyone could basically associate with and like rally around, right? But the issue here is people think he was able to do that because of his social media. People think he was able to do that because of his social media team. And I know his social media team. There are Hasanabi heads in his social media team. It's not just the social media team. The social media team did a fantastic job of getting Zohran in front of people. But more importantly than just getting Zohran in front of people, the social media team did a fantastic job of getting Zohran's policies in front of people. Okay? But because these guys, including Andrew Cuomo and everyone else that have done like an analysis on like Zohran's success, has consistently repeated this fucking lie over and over again that, oh, it's because he did like sexy social media stuff and that's why he saw so much success. They believe their own lies. And it's kind of funny when you think about it. Like it's obvious that this isn't just a simple distraction. They didn't arrive at this. They weren't just saying like, oh, what's Zoran's success? Oh, it's just superficial shit. I thought when the media was saying that, they were just doing that because they just like refused to identify that like these policies are rather popular, and social media, his good social media team basically got this in front of so many people, but they truly believe it. They think it's actually just him doing man on the street stuff. It's him dabbing people up.
Still possible. You haven't given up on it, and you deserve a mayor with the experience and ideas to make it happen again, and the guts to take on anyone who stands in the way. Every day I'm going to be hitting the streets, meeting you where you are, to hear the good and the bad, problems and solutions. Because for the next few months, it's my responsibility to earn your vote. So let's do this. I'll see you out there.
Like, I am the social media guy, right? I should be taking advantage of the fucking stupidity of the Democratic Party. If I was a fucking grifter, I'd be like, yeah, you know why Zoran won? Because of the podcast vote. You know why Zoran won? Because he came to me. Because he went to Chapo. Because he went on all these podcasts. Okay? But that's a lie. Like, that's not the case. I'm out here handing the strategy for free 99, even though it goes against my best interest. Okay? It's so stupid that everyone in like traditional media, all these old people in traditional media are like, what is this? How did this happen? How did Kamala lose? For months, when CNN would come to me and like NBC, CBS, all these outlets would come to me and ask like, we're doing an autopsy on why Kamala Harris lost. And we think it's because there's no Joe Rogan of the left. You have been identified as the Joe Rogan of the left. I kept repeating it over and over again. You cannot podcast your way out of this problem. You cannot social media your way out of this problem. Okay? You can't. You need to have, I could interview every fucking candidate. I could interview Pete Buttigieg, okay? Tomorrow, I could interview Kamala Harris. But I cannot, or Joe Rogan himself, who has a much larger platform than me, cannot actually make or break someone's candidacy, okay? The candidates themselves also have to figure out what the issues are, what the people are perceiving as like major issues, okay? And then have an actual solution and be able to communicate that actual solution in an earnest way, in a way that people believe. It's so stupid. Where does Hassan get these dope ass t-shirts? Great question. Thank you. Ideology.shop. Ladies and gentlemen, it's still available. This is my latest line of merchandise. Ideology.shop. America made, union made, as always. Here are some of the fits. Crisis map. Austerity abroad, austerity at home, IMF shirt, US aid t-shirt. There's also a disaster capitalism saw blade hat, cycle of apocalypse hoodie, 4 horsemen. There it is. We want more fits for the girlies. There's a fit for the girlies, the Annihilate baby tee. Ships everywhere around the globe. Yeah, another thing that people don't understand is that like Mamdani won an 11-way primary race. Cuomo's unpopularity worked for all the other candidates. Mamdani won because he had the best policies. It's not like Mamdani just defeated Andrew Cuomo. Mamdani also defeated all of the other younger candidates, for example. Like, this is something that people are forgetting. Mamdani in the first rank vote got more votes than everybody else. It's that simple. He won. He defeated like 10 other candidates or 11 other candidates, some of which had Andrew Cuomo style policies, but without the baggage of being Andrew Cuomo. Okay. And for some weird reason, people just like discount all of that. Here are some of the key takeaways from the new DFP New York City poll. In a traditional mayoral electorate, Mamdani is up 16 points over Cuomo. 100% union made, right? Yes. Zoran Mamdani leads with all racial groups and 4 out of the 5 boroughs. Andrew Cuomo has negative favorability among Democrats, -9, independents, -43, and Republicans, -15. Housing is Democrats' top issue at 33%, but less than 1% of Republicans said it was theirs. Like, it's not... He won a resounding victory. Like, he won a victory that is undeniable, okay? You cannot, no matter how hard you try to swing it in whichever direction you want to swing it, you cannot try to change the attention from what the actual reasons were. Like Harry Sasson says, lesson of the night, and this was right after the primary ended. Please, Democrats, embrace social media and new media. It clearly works. Harry Sasson wasn't there. He wasn't there in the gym. He wasn't shooting up threes with Zoran, right? But he was a hanger-on that wanted to basically point to social media as the reason for success when it's not the case. That's not like social media played a role in this, but it's not like Harry Sasson played a role in this. He didn't say nothing about Zoran. He didn't play a fucking role in this at all. The impact that social media has at the end of the day is a megaphone, okay? That's what it is. I am a vessel. I am a weapon that you can wield. I'll use myself as an example, as someone with a fairly large, fairly active community of like organizers and people who are door knockers themselves. Like, I'm a megaphone. What you say into that megaphone matters, okay? If you take the megaphone that I am and yell into it and you say a bunch of dumb shit, if you say things are actually fine, a better future is not possible, then people are going to hear you and they're not going to like what you have to say. Do you understand? That's it. The reason why this worked so perfectly was because of what Zoran was saying, what his policies were. I don't know why this is so confusing for Democrats. I feel like they have whipped their base of support into winning primaries first and foremost so aggressively. They've basically created this media environment, this media ecosystem that revolves around panicking and like pushing away any sort of leftist mobilization and leftist momentum, that they've lost the plot about what it is. They lost the plot about what it is to be a politician in a democratic country. The entire point of democracy is to go out to your base of support and say, what do you need? And then they tell you, this is what I need. Fix this. Housing, major issue for me. Please fix it. And then you go, got you. I got you. Here's what I'm going to do for housing. It's that simple. I don't know why people want to fucking complicate this situation. It's so dumb to try and complicate the situation. There's an entire industry, a cottage industry filled to the brim with like Yale, Harvard, and George Washington University graduates that fucking get paid $100,000 to $200,000 a year to literally complicate this process. Oh, is it because you didn't go to the right podcast? Is it because you didn't dance? You didn't find like a brat style dance for yourself? You didn't associate yourself with like a popular song or whatever? No, it's none of those things. Those things can boost you, but at the most basic level, you have to have fundamentals. You have to have solid fucking fundamentals, okay? You can have the cleanest looking jumper of all time, but if you can't make those buckets, it doesn't fucking matter, all right? If you don't have solid fundamentals, it doesn't matter how clean your jumper looks. It doesn't matter what your gear looks like on the basketball court. You could have the coolest gear, okay? You could look like a real ass baller, but if you don't have solid fundamentals, you're gonna lose. It's that simple. You're not gonna fucking win. New memo from the Democratic ad firm Van Ness Creative Strategies, first shared with Semaphore, says the party's leaders are still failing to communicate online. The firm says if Democratic elected officials still feel uncomfortable posting, now is a great time to retire. It's not about posting. Bernie Sanders is not a fucking poster. Bernie Sanders is the greatest example of why this is stupid. I am going to keep yelling this for free 99 over and over again for any fucking Democratic consultant that wants to take this back to their campaigns and look like a brilliant strategist, okay? If you want this advice, I'm giving it to you for free. I keep giving it over and over again. Zoran organically was already on board with this, okay? He didn't have to like listen to me because that's where he was as well, personally. That's the reason why he won. Oh, this is the fucking most idiotic shit. I mean, this is just like them maintaining a lie, obviously, a lie that justifies their existence. That's the other side of this problem, okay? The other side of this issue, the other side of this problem is that there's an entire industry that revolves around justifying its own existence. So all of the fucking consultants and whatnot that go on television have to fucking make it seem like it's not the policies. Please don't say it's the policies.
David, that Republicans want it to all be Zoran Mamdani, and they want to run against him in the upcoming elections. But it sounds like the challenge for Democrats, Paul, is to make the message that there are moderates in the party as well.
And the moderates are where the energy is. The moderates are dominant. I respect Mr. Mamdani's victory. He ran a great campaign. It helped that he had a disgraced opponent in Andrew Cuomo, the former governor who had to resign. But he got 45% or so of the vote, Mamdani did, with a 30% turnout. Okay, do the math. That's 13% of New York City Democrats. That's about 450,000 people.
This
That's
is
the size of Tulsa.
This is the stupidest kind of cope, dude. He got more votes than Eric Adams did, okay, in the first round, than Eric Adams did when all of the votes were collected. Please stop. This is before ranked choice. In the first round, he got more fucking votes than Eric Adams did. This is so dumb. Oh my God. They're looking at the most votes, I think the most votes any New York City mayoral candidate has gotten in a New York City mayoral primary. And they're saying it's actually, I mean, this is a tiny percentage of the fucking votes overall. I mean, come on. There's still a shot here. There's still a shot to unseat him. And please don't say it's the policies. Please don't say it's actually because he's a leftist. Please, anything but that. Please. It's like at some point, people got to realize that Bernie Sanders is not so popular because he's hot. Bernie Sanders is not so beloved as a figure because he is sexy, charismatic, and can post on social media like a demon. Okay? That's not the reason. He's 900 years old, man. He's a curmudgeon. He is a 900-year-old curmudgeon, okay? Why do people love him? Why? Why do people love Bernie? Is it because he posts like a motherfucker on social media? No. And I say this as someone who knows his social media team. It's not the fucking social media. The social media team and Bernie Sanders' like appearances on social media only work because of who he is. And who Bernie is as a politician revolves around what he fights for. Okay? That's it, guys. Stop fucking around whenever I say Bernie's not hot. Every single person goes, he's sexy. Speak for yourself. I want to suck him off. Shut up. I'm trying to make a serious point here. God damn. Fuck you. Shut the fuck up. Holy fuck.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay, Tulsa, Oklahoma doesn't define a Republican Party. New York City shouldn't define the Democrats. Again, Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey, Abigail Spanberger in Virginia. By the way, we just won the Supreme Court race in Wisconsin, a state Trump carried. Susan Crawford won that by 11 points, despite Mr. Musk, back when he liked Trump, putting millions of dollars into the conservative candidate there. Democrats are winning everywhere, even though, as Urban Riley points out, we're directionless, rudderless, and leaderless, and yet we're winning.
Charismatic and great on social media. Discount the real reason why those qualities work in his favor. It's his policies. Bernie Sanders is also a beloved figure. He's 80 years old. Just let them fight. Libs and center right people. Easier for Zoran. I know, but the reason why I fucking lose my mind over this, it's good for us in the primaries. It's good for us when Zoran is running against these fucking stupid Democrats who think like the magic sauce is just doing man on the street shit. Okay? But what they don't but this cooks us. This cooks us in general elections against Republicans. I want real fighters. I don't care. Okay? I don't care if they're 900-year-old demons. I want real fighters. I want real working class fighters, people who are going to fight for these fucking issues. Okay? That's why I keep repeating this over and over again. I want the Democratic Party, which is currently the only game in town. Okay? Unfortunately, I want the Democratic Party to actually be a party that fights for the working class, okay? I want them to actually do something. I want them to be a successful hurdle, present a successful hurdle against the Republican agenda. I want them to be an obstructionist party when they're not in power, and I want them to be a real fighter when they are in power. I want them to consistently message the issues that Americans are experiencing, because I understand that even if I don't agree with the Democrats, ultimately, I need them to do this. The reason why I need them to do this is because if the largest counter messaging tool that we have at our disposal is not consistently undermining the Republican strategy of routinely shifting people's attention away to marginalized populations, they're going to get wiped out. Okay, this is not me being like, this is not me shepherding my audience of radicals back to the Democratic Party. Okay, this is me seeing the actual issues and trying to do some semblance of fucking harm reduction. That's it. It is because I care about making sure that that migrant workers are not fucking purged from our ranks and sent to concentration camps. It is because I care about getting people health care that I want at least the Democrats to be a vessel that will maybe not deliver that change, but at least will communicate the desires of the population so that more people can recognize that this is what they want. This is what they need. Doesn't Trump's second term serve as a counter argument to that theory? He's insufferable and vile and his base gobbles it up. He doesn't have any real policy save for hate and bigotry, but aren't those more ideological than policy? Am I oversimplifying it? No. Trump actually plays the field that the Republican Party has designed in the past couple of decades very well. The Republicans play to culture war issues, okay? And Democrats will always lose when they are running against culture war issues. It's that simple. Democrats need to change the dynamic. Democrats need to change the rules of the game and take it back to issues that actually matter, not these distractions. Because if you're constantly playing defense on the culture war field, you're going to lose. Because the culture war field is designed by the Republicans to begin with. The idea that like the idea that like, oh, you're angry because trans people exist is clearly a successful method, especially when there is no real opposition against that kind of thing. To say like, leave trans people alone. What the fuck? These are just our neighbors. They also have the same exact issues that you do in terms of like your healthcare, right? That's the major problem for you. Your rent going up. That's a major problem for you. Every American is experiencing this issue, okay? Every single American has a cost of living problem. Every single American is experiencing an affordability crisis, okay? I saw a number the other day. It was like, if you made $100,000 in 2020, as opposed to 2025, your money is 25% less valuable because of how unaffordable things have gotten. So if your money did not go up, if you made $100,000 in 2020 and you're making $100,000 in 2025, you're making 25% less money now. Okay, that's crazy. That's crazy. You think that's not impactful? That's incredibly impactful. That's a problem that everyone experiences. And the brilliance of the Republican Party is that they recognize that issue. They recognize the anger and resentment that causes. And then they shift people's attentions back to like Mexicans. They're like, yeah, you're angry about this. Democrats don't give a fuck about fixing this. I'm going to fix it by what? By purging the country from Mexicans. Doesn't Trump's second term serve as a counter argument to that theory? Is no, it's wrong. Trump's second term actually perfectly identifies the problem that I'm presenting. The Democrats refuse to identify what the issues are and offer real solutions to those problems. Okay? And then the Republicans come in and they at least recognize the resentment that people have, and they fucking campaign year round on other shit that people are annoyed by, other shit that people find to be weird. They create hysterics around things that aren't even happening. And then the Republicans, the Democrats have no solution to that. So they just basically play catch up over and over and over again. And they lose. And then in the process of losing the argument that the Republicans crafted, they fucking turn around and do what? They capitulate. They basically say, you know what? The Republicans were right. It is trans people. We were being too crazy about this trans stuff. Ain't nobody gives a fuck about the trans shit, man. If one party was offering healthcare for all and the other party was like, no, the working poor should be melted for biomatter, no one would be talking about trans people. Okay? You would look at a person that's talking about trans issues and go, who gives a fuck? What are you saying? The easiest counter to this is one that I use all the time. Like when I went on Theo Vaughn and I said, it's not a trans person that's your landlord. It's not a Guatemalan person that's your boss that's like refusing to give you better wages. Okay? That's not it. These are only issues for you if you got all this other shit solved. If all these other problems that you're experiencing are no longer a problem, then you can fucking focus on that. It's that simple. Very frustrating.
I think that's something that Democrats just don't get. It's certainly not mainstream moderate Democrats that can win national elections.
Yeah, let's take the lessons that Democrats should learn, but let's also not go for a head fake. Here's the lessons. Number one, vertical videos. Buying the old game of buying.
Oh, God. Fire every single one of these people. They're so stupid.
Tonnage on network, on local news is over. This guy won because not only is he authentic, but because he understands the media. It is about TikTok, and he understands how to do it and do it well. But the one message for Democrats I want to make sure that they don't get caught up in, there's a difference between somebody who won because they are a media sensation versus, oh, now the answer is we go hard left, we go super progressive. What wins in general elections, and if you look at Ruben Gallego and you look at Elizabeth Slotkin, you look at Mikey Sherrill coming up, Abigail Spanberger, in those states that need to be won, if the Democrats go super hard left, they're never going to win another election. I feel very strongly about this. So learn about the media story here. Learn about authenticity of a candidate. Don't necessarily say, oh, this means we go crazy progressive hard left. Dangerous, dangerous path for Democrats.
They just keep reiterating. These are people that are way, way, way more involved in their own careers. Okay? They care about their own personal agenda and their own personal fucking careers and advancing their own personal worldview than giving real solutions to the Democrats. Okay? This is so fucking stupid. Oh, there's real mobilization around Spamberger. Elisa Slotkin, she's a real up-and-comer in the Democrats. Like, no one thinks that. No one cares. People at best vote defensively for whoever the D is on those races, okay? God damn, these people suck so much.
Dami, one thing, and I've never done this on the show, I'd like to invite him on my podcast. As I talk, there's 1 million terrified Jews right now because he will not stand down on the terms glorify.
Shut the fuck up. Oh my God. Oh my God. How can someone be wrong on everything? How can someone be so pathetically wrong on everything? How much more wrong can they get? How much more annoying and wrong can these motherfuckers get until the Democrats are like, hey man, maybe we shouldn't like these guys are just wrong, it seems. Like we just keep getting our shit pushed in by the dumbest Republicans on the fucking planet. It makes me so mad. You'd be surprised. Yeah.
I mean, globalize the intifada. Jews are worried. We're worried we're going to go back to those violent protests. There's 1 million Jews in New York. You're representing the entire city. Please, as a Jewish media person, I would love to talk to you in a very frank, open discussion about it. There are a lot of worried Jews right now. We're talking about Mandami. One thing I've never...
Violent protests. What violence? Yeah, this is the type of shit that they're busy with. Hakeem Jeffries, Mamdani must reassure Jewish community that he's going to stand up for their safety and security. I'm fucking losing my mind. These guys have already lost the argument. They've already lost the argument, but they're just still repeating it over and over again. And every time they repeat it, it just gets more annoying, okay? Nobody cares. Please stop. He has already fucking addressed this 1 million times, dude. What do you want him to do? Just only run a campaign on talking about Jewish safety? Like, it's not just Jewish people that live in New York, you know what I mean? And it's not even Jewish people that we're actually talking about. It's people who are pro-Israel, frankly. That's it. That's it. You're not going to be able to bully this dude after a fucking resounding success into capitulating to a pro-Israel position. And if he does, he will fucking lose. If he does, he'll lose. That's the other thing. God damn, dude. Fuck. I've said this already. Here's free ball for the Democratic consultants that fucking sit around and listen to what I have to say. Okay? An anti-Israel position is the easiest way to communicate your earnesty, to communicate that you're anti-establishment. It's that simple. This is the Democratic majority's position, okay? if you communicate this at a time when the entirety of the media is pro-Israel unconditionally, and the entirety of the Democratic and the Republican party's politicians are pro-Israel unconditionally, and you say, nah, dog, fuck that. I'm not doing that. What they're doing is wrong, and I'm not on board with that. I want equal rights for everybody. It's it. That's it. That is the easiest way to immediately bring people onto your side. It is the easiest way to get people that actually do pay attention to that stuff to care about it. Most people don't even care about it, to be fair. Okay? Most people are like, why the fuck do I care about Israel? What is going on here? Who gives a shit? Why? Why should I care about Israel? It's like, stop, enough with this Israel spam. I don't give a shit. Stop. It's so fucking annoying. But the ones that do care recognize how fucking bad the situation is. And even the ones that don't care recognize that every single person in the media, every single person in politics is presenting a pro-Israel position, regardless of what the population feels. So the easiest way to present yourself, even if you don't care, even if you love Israel, okay, just lie and say you fucking hate Israel to win a goddamn race, to at least show how much of a anti-establishment figure you are at a time when people are looking for that, okay? It is the easiest way to communicate earnesty.
Yeah, the Democratic Party does not like him because he represents a part of the party that the Democratic establishment does not like, which is the Democratic Socialists, which is where the fucking party is.
I disagree with this, all of it. Really? Really? Oh, fuck Andrew Schultz and fuck Epstein? Okay. I don't know why you are saying you disagree with everything that I just said, but
they just won't acknowledge it. Like, the Democratic Party is the Democratic Socialist Party. Whether you like it or not, that's what the base wants. That's what the people are into. And the old establishment is not what they're into.
Honestly, that's what America wants. And you know why I'm going to tell you the link.
Bro, look at this. Look at this. Look at this conversation that's taking place. And people were trying to tell me that Zohran Mamdani's victory would not change discourse dramatically. Okay, that's so
it was
funny.
that he was using, and we had this conversation on Breakfast Club, because I'm like, yo, Democrats, y'all can come up with names for everything, right?
Yeah.
Pregnant people, all that, like, right?
Yeah.
But you can't come up with a better term for socialism. So when he uses the term affordability, and he just talks about how things aren't affordable, that resonates with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Our campaign is one that sees this city under attack in two ways. An affordability crisis on the inside. We're the most expensive city in the United States of America. 1 in 4 New Yorkers are living in poverty. The rest are living in a permanent state of anxiety about whether they can keep affording this city. And then we're under attack from the outside from a Trump administration that is hell-bent on going after not only New Yorkers, but frankly, democratic cities across the country, like we're seeing in Los Angeles right now.
That's what people want to hear.
The message
New
is,
York's too fucking expensive.
The message is resonating. Here's the thing, and this is the thing. Poor people did not vote for him, okay? Poor, uneducated people did not vote for him because poor, uneducated people, unfortunately, do not have the same entitlement to their dreams than middle class and rich people do. If you're like middle class, upper middle class, and rich, you're like, I deserve to be super rich and have everything work out, and like I'm entitled to that. Poor people a lot of times come from generations of poverty and they don't see that upper mobility. It's sad, it's tragic.
But wouldn't affordability resonate with those poor people though? Like when they hear that, when they hear somebody simply say, hey, shit is too expensive.
Yeah, but they didn't vote for him. So to me, the message that's really connecting are these people who feel entitled to a better life because they did everything that they were supposed to do, i.e. go to college. They got a meaningless degree. They have $200,000 worth of debt that they cannot get out of. And they're like, okay, I need the government to help me, which is understandable. The problem is the solutions that Zohran has, many of them, I'm not saying all of them, but many of them, he either cannot execute or they actually won't work to help the people. And that is, there is like data to.
Poor people didn't vote for Zohran shit is just like a misunderstanding, a misreading of how, a misreading of the data in and of itself. Okay. Also, again, it doesn't matter. These people don't give a fuck. I mean, Andrew Schultz is just like repeating talking points that he's heard somewhere else. Okay. But the people that present this as an argument, as a serious argument, are not sincere about it. Okay. The analysts that say, oh, the poor people don't want to vote for Zohran. The data guys that say that are saying that in a cynical way. Okay. They don't give a shit. There are a multitude of reasons for why some of the poorest voters did not vote for Zohran. Okay. One of the major reasons is that they are going in for name recognition candidates, and a lot of them did not actually see any positive messages about Zoran, considering that the television ad spend was entirely anti-Zoran Mamdani. Okay, that's it. There's also the reality that under $100,000, which is what Zoran won as a voting block, with the exception of people who made like less than 35 grand, some of which who have report that kind of income are already retired as well. So then all of a sudden you're not thinking of like the guy who works at McDonald's, but you're actually thinking about someone's grandfather whose like yearly income is that low because they're fucking old and they're just on Social Security. People basically, a huge reason too is Cuomo's legacy on the Housing Commission. So they just know that from the days old. They don't keep up with anything, but that has directly affected them. Yes, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just something that Zoran has to make up for. It's a target for him to penetrate with positive messaging in the general this time around. It doesn't mean that like the poorest voters don't fuck with Zoran Mamdani, or it doesn't mean that like his policies are actually bad for poor people or some shit. Okay. Ultimately, it just means that low information voters, who are sometimes high propensity voters, really old voters, for example, older voters from every demographic, went with who they knew. Name recognition is that simple. It's not, it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. It's not like, oh, these guys are antagonistic to like socialism because they are the smartest when it comes to voting, like, or some shit like that. It's just so stupid. Okay. And these guys don't give a shit. The reality of the matter is, if those guys all overwhelmingly wanted socialism, no one would talk about it. Okay. No one. They'd be like, these guys are poor. They're dumb. They don't know what the fuck they want. They want to destroy. They're selfish. It's that simple. They're grabbing on to whatever they can to just say, oh, well, you know, these guys just like, they didn't vote for Zoran. What does that mean? What? There's got to be some other reason for it, you know?
Prove and back this. So I think the message is really resonating. And to be honest with you, I think the only party right now that you could say actually puts America first are the Democratic Socialists. Like, if you really want to talk about, oh, rah, 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 MAGA, America first,
No.
MAGA ain't America first in right now.
No.
It's going against what the base.
Yeah, remembering when Matty Iglesias said that people are only showing up to rallies for Bernie because he's Bernie, seems pretty crazy that the left happens to keep on lucking into these uniquely charismatic figures who are popular for reasons that have nothing to do with policy. I'll be the first to say that the difference between a flop leftist campaign and a successful leftist campaign often has very little to do with ideology, but Jesus fucking Christ, people are addicted to ignoring the obvious thing. Yeah. I say every Democratic consultant that keeps repeating the stupid take that Zoran won because he's charismatic and great on social media discount the real reason why those qualities work in his favor. It's his policies. Bernie Sanders is also a beloved figure. He's 80 years old. But it's just funny because people like don't want to understand that. People don't understand that like the fundamental driver of a politician's campaign are his fucking policies. You don't go to McDonald's because you want to fuck Ronald McDonald. You go to McDonald's because you want to eat a Big Mac, okay? Sure, marketing plays a role, but if you didn't actually like the fucking chemical compounds that they're cooking up in a laboratory that specifically tickle your taste buds in a way where you want to fucking eat that burger over and over again, you would never go to McDonald's. Holy fuck. It's so stupid. It is so dumb. People just like, I don't understand. You don't do this in any other, you don't do this for any other reason. Okay? American analogy would be like, imagine hamburger. Yes, I have to do that because I am talking to Americans. Okay? I'm talking to Americans. And people that say, well, what about Trump? Don't realize Trump is offering people something. He's offering them change. He might be lying about it, but he's at least making a compelling case for how different he is going to be than everyone else. Do you understand? For Trump, the hamburger he's serving is fuck trans people. We're going to kill every undocumented migrant. We're going to force them out of this country. Okay? And also, we're going to destroy the way things have existed that you haven't succeeded in. The previous the previous way of doing business and doing politics has demonstrably failed for you, the average working class individual. So I'm presenting an alternative. And people looked at that and went, okay, well, I don't want business as usual. I want this new thing. I want to fucking mallet through the institutions because the institutions have never fucking represented my interests. Yeah. And yeah, the only thing that the Democrats have done is basically just like, I guess, try and act as though this is a real issue with the gerontocracy, which it is. Gerontocracy is a problem for sure. But once again, I go back to my argument about Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is 954 years old. Okay? Bernie Sanders is not a uniquely telegenic figure. Bernie Sanders is not a uniquely charismatic figure. He's not a once-in-a-lifetime candidate. He doesn't have the same level of charisma that Obama did. Bernie Sanders is successful and popular and beloved because he has spent a lifetime hyper-focusing on the policies. He has spent his entire 954 years on Earth constantly fucking fighting for the things that he believes. Okay, who the fuck? Why is this fucking communist talking? Adam Johnson criticizes Andrew Cuomo's stupid campaign by saying, so funny that he now has to shoot B-roll of himself talking to average people and he looks annoyed and very bored. All previous footage of Cuomo actually in New York City was FBI surveillance style telephoto shoots of him getting out of a black car and walking into $2,500 plate fundraisers. In some, here, by the way, news here on the launch of Majority Dems, a new hybrid federal PAC supporting prominent younger Dem electeds with records of winning tough races, many of whom are quite blunt about what they see is the old guard party establishment's problems. I feel like ex-normie here and I voted for Trump in 2016 for that exact point. But now that I'm better and more informed person, I realize that is only half the story. But yes, being different than establishment matters to people a lot. New neoliberal front group just dropped. In some ways, the group structure resembles that of the Democratic Leadership Council, the once influential group that successfully pushed the party to the middle in the Clinton era. There have been 90,000 of these billionaire-funded, we just want to win, drop liberal orthodoxy, big tent front projects launched in the last 6 months. More consulting grifts designed to push the party right under the auspices of savvy pragmatism. Definitely need to break down. Definitely need to do a breakdown. So much Silicon Valley and billionaire money funneling into the same consult class losers to energize hard-nosed, youthful Democrats who can win in Trump country, who will courageously defend crypto and Israel. The only new language they traffic in is the pseudo-progressive language of opposing gerontocracy, which is to say that they want to recruit a new generation of Buttigieg clones, ex-spooks, and 40-year-old AIPAC reciting empty shirts. This will fucking cause yet another demonstrable failure. It will be failure after failure. You cannot win with just youthful faces that are still communicating the old message. These guys are so hyper-focused on the fucking optics that they just don't realize that it's not, like, optics are important, okay? Optics are important, but what people fail to consider is that optics are only as important as how much they can get your message in front of people. And if the message itself, if the policies, the fundamental plank of every candidacy, the hamburger, okay, that you want to eat, if the policies are bad, if the policies are not communicating a change, and you're not able to do that earnestly, then it doesn't fucking matter. Look at Richie Torres. Richie Torres is young. He's gay. He's black. He's Afro-Latino. Why the fuck is he despised? He's a reviled figure in the Democratic Party. He's all of those things. He presented himself as a progressive. Why does Richie Torres suck? Why? It's because he doesn't serve anything but Israel, okay? That's it. That's it. That's the main point. I have a million examples like this. Okay, I can give you a million examples of success coming from a Bernie-style candidate that does not have the charisma and does not have the wherewithal to understand social media, doesn't speak the language of social media, and yet he can go on Theo Vaughn and cook. Why? Is it because he understands the media landscape? Is that what it is? No, that's not the reason. It's because he's an honest dude. But while many of the officials involved in majority Democrats similarly come from the center left, organizers insist there is no ideological litmus test to join. Okay, look forward to seeing all the left-wing candidates they fund and support. New York Times says the effort emerged from this memo. Notice how the New York Times frames it as younger Democrats with records of winning tough races, but if you look at their members, it includes, among others, Dems in areas Harris won, Joe Neguse, Richie Torres, Buffy Wicks ran unopposed in the Bay Area, Mike Johnston, 56. You put Richie Torres as a fucking hero in this pile of people, and you give the game away. You want people who are going to be pro-crypto. They're going to write pro-crypto legislation. They're going to fucking do the same thing that the establishment Democrats have done, which is to cave and capitulate to fucking right-wing framing on a lot of these issues. And ultimately, above all else, they're going to defend Israel. Am Israel high all day, every day. People have a better nose for this stuff. They can see inauthenticity. They can recognize it. They know that's all they've seen. If you just keep doing that over and over again, you're not going to fucking win. But at a certain point, you have to realize maybe they just don't want to win. They want to give more B-2 bombers to Israel. Important to understand that moving the party right, backed by billionaire money, is unpopular. So moving right must always be framed as a reluctant, hard-nosed reality, an act of courage. But many on their short list have no such necessity. It's almost like there are other factors. Insider Memo envisions a new DLC. A former venture capitalist and a fundraiser has a bold idea. Market-friendly moderation. I'm going to lose my fucking mind, dude. I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. It's just like, yeah, that's what we needed. Repackaged moderation.
Absolutely.
I've been inflating the fucking budget, continuing the foreign wars.
Absolutely.
Like the only party right now that is America first, meaning I want to help American people. Maybe the way they want to do it won't work and it could be detrimental, but at least the messaging and the intentions are to help the American people are the Democratic Socialists.
You want to know why?
Talk to me.
Because of all the minorities that are Democratic Socialists. The blacks, the Latinos, the gays, because those are the people who really believe in what America says it is.
I think Democratic Socialists are a bunch of like college-educated white kids. I think that's what it is.
That's not true, man. That is not fucking true. That's part of it. That's part of the coalition. But Charlemagne is right. Charlemagne doesn't mean that these guys are like card-carrying socialists. He's just saying that the values that the Democratic Party is supposed to defend are values that people have to fucking care about because they are those people. Democrats say they care about racial inequality, right? Yeah, if you're black or brown, you have to care about racial inequality. It's a part of your fucking existence. That's it. It's a part of your existence. You have to care about it. It's a necessity for survival. Of course you care about it. That's what Charlemagne is talking about when he says, like, the Democratic Socialists and the Democratic Socialist candidates, many, by the way, not a single one of them is white, for the record. Weirdly enough, I don't know why Andrew Schultz is talking about that. Not that it fucking matters. They could all be white. I don't give a shit, okay? I care about policies. I don't care about the fucking aesthetics. I care about people's background as long as their background has shaped their worldview to earnestly communicate progressive causes, to earnestly say, look, my experience as a black person has led me to arrive at this conclusion that racial inequality is an issue. It's one that we have to solve. That's what I care about. Okay? I don't give a shit if it's a white person that is actually also on board with this cause or if it's a black person that's on board with this cause. It's interesting that socialist and progressive candidates tend to be non-white, but they do better among white voters unless they're black. I'm right-wing, and this is the uniting point. The Epstein issue is where people unite. I mean, yeah, we've been here. We've been on the fucking Epstein tip for years and years. Welcome. The only group of people in American society that genuinely have, the only political group that has actually said, fuck Jeffrey Epstein and fuck all the Democrats that were associated with Jeffrey Epstein and fuck all the Republicans that were associated with Jeffrey Epstein is leftists, okay? Is people like myself. A lot of right-wingers, I believe, are slowly going to come to the recognition that their favorite political commentator has simply used Jeffrey Epstein as a way to talk about how, conspiratorial they are, or they weren't actually on board. Now that like push has come to shove, and now that Big Daddy Trump is openly defending Jeffrey Epstein, openly refusing to investigate people that were directly involved with Jeffrey Epstein, and not just the liberals, but Republicans as well. Hopefully you will, hopefully this will be a change for you. Hopefully you will recognize that, there are a bunch of other issues that we have talked about beyond Jeffrey Epstein that we were right on as well, that many of these people have like cynically fucking launched criticisms against. Look at this fucking asshole, by the way. These guys literally have nothing else. Here is Rahm Emanuel, brother of Ari Emanuel of WME. Rahm Emanuel was perhaps one of the most responsible figures for Barack Obama's major losses in the midterms. He was Mr. We're going to find moderates and we're going to run moderates. He had a policy of only running candidates that actually had enough money to self-finance their campaigns if necessary. He wanted to make sure to basically make sure that it was all establishment Democrats. He's also was a horrible mayor as well, mayor of Chicago, but that's neither here nor there. The leftists are only white thing is really overblown, but there's definitely a disproportionate amount of white people with college education. I know it's a concept a million people are trying to answer, but how do you think leftists break through people outside these demographics? Easy. You go to their neighborhoods and you talk to them. You organize in their neighborhoods. Probably one of the major reasons why so many fucking people have a college education that is a card-carrying democratic socialist is because the organizing that takes place for democratic socialism happens oftentimes on college campuses, YDSA and DSA in general. That's it. Whereas, you know who organizes in black and brown underprivileged neighborhoods? The Democratic establishment. They use churches as a vehicle, as a major driver for electoral success. It's that simple. And it's not because the Democratic establishment is on board with uplifting the material conditions of black and brown people in poor neighborhoods. Look at fucking Jim Clyburn. Jim Clyburn is a demon of machine politics. Okay? He is seen as like the kingmaker in the Democratic Party, partially because as a South Carolina representative, he commands a lot of the black vote and the machine politics in South Carolina. You should really watch the FD video about Zoran and the way white leftists push POC away. I think that's a part of the problem. I think the cynical Democratic establishment consultant class will very quickly use any kind of pushback that like leftists have towards like the boomer votes, for example. Any sort of pushback that the leftists have towards boomers, they will immediately laser in on it, and then we'll say, "Oh, it's because these guys are racist, right? Look how racist they are," and it comes across as racist to black boomers. Is true. FD is right. It comes across as racist to Gen X black voters and boomer black voters, and that is cynically weaponized. That kind of communication is cynically weaponized. If you were actually in those communities, if you're actually organizing in those communities, then you would have, I think, a much better time. Stop. No more identity politics, please. Black liberals don't give a fuck. No, this isn't just identity politics, okay? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But the reality of the matter is the older black voting bloc is the most important. Like they are what the white evangelicals are to the Republican Party's base of support. Okay? I need you to understand something. What white evangelicals are at the national level to Republican Party, as far as like their undying loyalty and their interest in voting for the Republicans is the exact same in terms of older black voters, specifically black women. Okay? They're at the heart of the Democratic Party's machine. They're at the heart of the Democratic Party's machine of turnout. And the Democrats will literally cynically use real frustrations and real fears that the aunties and the unks have against leftist candidates, okay? They will say these guys are racist. They'll say these guys are racist. They don't represent your interests. They're not in your communities. They don't fuck with you. We do. And they don't have to do that by like presenting themselves. They don't have to do that by like going to those communities. They do that by using the figures that are also an important and formative part of the Democratic machine turnout. They use church leaders. They use organizers that already work within the ranks of the Democratic Party in these communities to make that message, to say that over and over again. And the only way to combat that is by organizing in these communities. The reality of the matter is leftists don't have a very good mechanism. Leftists, unfortunately, do not have, and democratic socialists do not have a good way to counter that turnout machine. Do you understand? So instead of doing the thing that Democrats do, and be like, why won't these guys vote for us? You have to literally go to those communities and organize in those communities. There are a shit ton of young black and brown voters that identify with democratic socialism, that identify with progressive candidates. We have to talk with them. We have to talk alongside them. We have to organize alongside them. It's that simple, because there is a major generational divide here. Okay? That's precisely the reason why whenever people say like, oh, like black people don't fuck with democratic socialism or whatever, it's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. Bernie Sanders was doing LeBron numbers with black voters under the age of 35. Okay? LeBron numbers. Not even a question. Meanwhile, there is already a major issue in terms of the turnout machine actually breaking for black voters in general. Year over year, every single new campaign that does not offer any real solutions, you see the Democrats also lose more and more black voters. They're not losing those black voters from the demographics that always consistently and will forever until they die vote for the Democrats. They're losing the black voters that are younger. The further removed you are from the gains of the civil rights movement, the less likely you are as a black person to vote for the Democratic Party. Okay? Because that's the last time the Democrats actually did something for black people. And it was so important that black people have consistently turned out and voted for the Democrats with Assad numbers. Okay? Black women in particular. There is no comparison within any demographic. There is no comparison within any demographic that votes this under any sort of democratic process. There is no high percentage turnout, no high percentage vote for any party under any fucking liberal democratic example. It's better than Vladimir Putin. We talking Russian election day number? No, it's more than that. It's Assad numbers. I'm telling you, black women specifically vote for the Democratic Party with Assad margins, not even Vladimir Putin margins. Okay? Even Putin, when he's like massaging the numbers, doesn't put 92%. Anyway, the problem is you can't just like fucking sit around from the outside, especially someone that looks like me. I can't be fucking running around being like, oh, black people are too stupid to vote for socialism. Like, that's insane. That's an insanely out of touch. That is literally something that Democratic consultants masturbate to, where they're like, oh, we got him. We got him. So anytime you find yourself being like, you're too stupid to understand that this is actually better for you to vote for this kind of candidacy, you're losing. Okay? Another way to compete against that is by having successful record of proving that narrative wrong. Making radical change to target black voters who are being purposely misled by neolib establishment is harder than just succeeding in New York and Boston, where the socialist candidates are able to prove the neolib establishment narrative wrong with the change they're already ready to bring today. Like, I'll give you an example. There was a radical black candidate that unironically was radical, and then he was completely captured by establishment Democrats. His name is Raphael Warnock. Okay? Liberation theologist, radical liberal, Raphael Warnock. That's it. Red state, great numbers, was actually fairly radical, as a matter of fact, in his congregation. And look at him now. He's been swept away by the same old business as usual politics. It's sad to see. Identity politics is basically equal trust. The only way change some of the boomers' minds is just success. So that's why I want Mamdani to do well when he wins. Yeah. Kind correction. That's not what he said. He said that leftists like Bernie have not adequately linked race issues with the rest of their platform and perspective. I think the FD video was incorrect because he said leftists have a racism problem, and it's not just true. Leftists are better on race issues than any other grouping. Yes, leftists are better on race issues than any other grouping. Leftists just don't communicate the language that the establishment Democrats do, because they're not a part of the fucking message at all. They're not a part of the fucking church groups. That's it. That's it. And the Democrats use that turnout machine against leftists aggressively. Okay? That's it. That's the major problem here. So you have to out-organize. You have to out-organize the Democratic Party, which is impossible. But there's also another method out there, which is to keep drawing in larger and larger numbers of younger black and brown voters. Okay? Younger black and brown voters is how you fucking penetrate these demographics and get them to talk to their parents and try to get them to change the minds of their parents. You guys in this chat, okay? That's it. Because the real reason why I wouldn't say that like the left has a major issue with like black voters, for example, is because it depends on what age range we're talking about. If you're talking about black voters under the age of 40, the left wins overwhelmingly. If you're talking about black voters over the age of 55, the left is nowhere to be found. Okay? It's that simple.
I think there's some standards and some requirements that should be, I don't want to say met, but should be articulated that for the party to fully embrace, that have to be clear.
Meaning you have a sit down with Mamdani and say, hey, look, come into the tent, but here's some things we would like to hear from you.
Bro, what? You're not part of the team, little bro. Shut the fuck up.
Like when, I don't want to take
the better advice is DSA aligned candidates and organizers showing up consistently, not relying on young black voters to talk to their parents. Yeah, no, for sure. I think the major problem is that DSA style groups have not been able to get a strong foothold in black communities specifically. Okay, it's that simple. I've heard chatter of people complaining that the DSA LA, for example, has been somewhat absent from the conversation of ICE raids that are taking place. Stop saying the DSA has problems. Okay, with the limited amount of power that they have, they're doing their very best. Okay, shut the fuck up. I hate this argument too. I don't like these like grandstanding generalized positions that people fucking apply. That shit also pisses me off whenever people are like, oh, well, the DSA has a problem talking to black people, or the DSA has this problem, DSA has that problem. Stop. People who don't organize will tell you all about the problems with every org. I know. Yeah, I saw the Obama takes.
to find out worldwide. Yeah.
Anyway, interesting how everyone agrees. Oh, here's Obama weighing in on abundance. Yeah, I saw the new campaign shakeup. New campaign manager, eyes towards de Blasio staffers. David Dayan says, interesting how everyone agrees on deliverism now. 4 years after I said it should be the primary way of thinking about governing, and 1 year after lots of people, including the shambolic UK government, loudly claimed the 2024 election proved deliverism is dead. Obama also argued that Democrats need to focus on how to deliver for people, acknowledging the different ways, different views within the party about how best to do that. There's been, I gather, some argument between the left of the party and people who are promoting the quote-unquote abundance agenda. Listen, those things are not contradictory. You want to deliver for people and make their lives better? You got to figure out how to do it, he said. I don't care how much you love working people. They can't afford a house because all the rules in your state make it prohibitive to build. And zoning prevents multifamily structures because of NIMBY, he said, referring to not in my backyard views. I don't want to know your ideology because you can't build anything. It does not matter. There you go. Barack Obama is an abundance guy, an abundist, if you will, which is the least surprising thing I could have ever heard. I don't care about the abundists within the ranks of the party, beyond the fact that I think they are presenting a distraction. I want more housing. They want more housing. Great. If they think the only way to do more housing is through deregulation, they're wrong. Yeah, I think it's going to require a little bit less navel gazing and a little less whining and being in fetal positions. And it's going to require Democrats to just toughen up, Obama said at a private fundraiser in New Jersey Friday. What's needed now is courage. What's needed now is courage, says Obama, to a small group of rich people out of the public eye. Anyway, this is the new Obama line. Obama's blunt message for Democrats, toughen up. He's been noticeably quiet about the Zoran situation. Have you guys noticed that? It's just interesting. It's just interesting to think why he has been so remarkably absent from the conversation when there is better. Maybe he's just jealous that there's another African socialist, Muslim, a real Muslim African socialist this time that is making waves, and Obama hates when someone takes away from his qualities like this. That is the issue we have in Washington. There's a massive shortage of affordable housing. Local politicians zone more areas residential and lax regulations, and now we have a lot of luxury apartments popping up. Housing is still not affordable, and now there are a bunch of luxury apartments for the tech sector. That's what I mean. It's not gonna fix anything. Anyway. Let's continue. Here's the Abundist talking to the All In podcast, my least favorite right wing podcast out there. And they seem to agree on a lot.
Would be better, and I think this is right, is to allow me to act more and then look afterwards to see if I did something wrong and then hold me accountable for it. I think too much of our regulation is precautionary as opposed to being able to let people move quickly and make decisions in the real world and then go back and see how they worked out.
All right, I think that's a great point, and I agree with you on that. And I think there are a lot of people out there who would say that government's too bureaucratic. There's too much red tape in terms of getting things done. Any kind of project like the rural broadband takes 15 steps. 3 of them were DEI. That's crazy. The environmental reviews and the lawsuits that bog these projects down for years, make them unfinanceable. There are people who agree with you on that. You know what they're called? Republicans. Republicans agree with this. But you know who doesn't agree with you? AOC and Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. So maybe you're in the wrong party, because I don't think you're going to convince Democrats of this.
Well, we'll see.
Well, I wish you well on that. I hope you do.
I mean, these guys aren't wrong. There's a reason why a lot of the Yimbys end up being fucking libertarian losers, okay? Like, come on. This does not, like, strike you as odd at all. Like, not even a little bit. Your solutions to these fucking... Oh, yeah. Wait, what the fuck? I just saw this tweet. Cameron Kasky just sent me this tweet, like, literally just now. First we lost Grok, then we lost Elmo, now we lost Olivia Rodrigo. I know, I talked about this yesterday. It's whatever. All right, let's see what Zoran's speech looked like, where he addressed his supporters. Okay.
Thank you all so much. How's everyone doing?
I'm gonna have Cameron on the broadcast soon.
It is so lovely to be here, and I want to say, can we have a big round of applause for DSA, our incredible elected officials, State Senator Salazar. As Gustavo was saying, this campaign's journey in many ways begins with the town hall that we had last fall. A town hall where I made clear that we could not do this without the support of everyone who is here today. We could not do this alone. We would not do this alone. And there were questions asked, there were answers provided. And I remember leaving the town hall and meeting another DSA member a week or so after. He came up to me and he said, you know, I know you said that you think there's a path, but you think it's also really difficult. Stop telling us how difficult it is. Just let us believe. Let us believe. And it really meant something to me because we all understood the terrain. We all knew just how impossible of a task that seemed. And yet what I heard in that DSA member was the importance of leading with our belief. Not with the caveat, not with the context of it, but the belief of what we could win if we were willing to fight for it. And at that town hall, we said and committed to things that many people thought were ludicrous. That we could knock 1 million doors. That this organization, at the time I had said, we wanted to increase membership by 500 new active members. And we said these things because we knew that as tempting as it is in our politics, there are so many more New Yorkers who believe in that same world. It's not just the ones that you talk to, that you see online. It's the rest of the people who call this city their home. 8.5 million people. We knew there were more. And what we have done over 8 months is nothing short of incredible. And I do have to, as a good DSA member, push back in saying that this is my victory. This is all of our victory. This is your victory. Because when I look out on this crowd, I see people who gave me a Zoom call when I had to convince them to believe in this, who sat down for dinner with me when it seemed an idea that was too far, and who knocked on door after door after door, and knocked on those doors far before this was considered as something that was possible, who knocked on those doors in December, in January, in February, who led those same canvases, who mapped out the data, who made the entire infrastructure of this campaign possible. It is your victory.
Guys, yes, I saw Michael Blake wants to hang out with me. Oh my God. 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 This has literally less likes than the number of people in this chat that has informed me. Okay? I saw. Okay? Calm the fuck down. Jesus Christ. There are literally more people in this chat that have sent this tweet to me in the fucking chat than there are people who have liked it on Twitter. How is this even possible? How? How is this possible? So what am I supposed to make of this? That you're seeing the tweet, you're not even liking it, but you're just immediately rushing over here to inform me. Is that what it is? I know.
And it's important because electoral politics often simplifies any achievement as it is if it is that of the candidate. But it is actually that of the movement. To have had a team of more than 50,000 volunteers. Those are more volunteers than people told us we could get in votes. It sounds like a punchline now, but let me tell you. And what those volunteers represent is the possibility of a new kind of politics. A politics where we win the world that we know we deserve. We do not wait for it. One of those Twitter accounts that we all know is DSA should. Tweets out things that DSA should do this, DSA should do that. And I think one of the many beautiful things about this organization is if you want to do it, you can just start doing it yourself. You got the requisite buy-in and the endorsements. But it starts with you. It starts with you. And I do want to take this moment for us to soak in what we've accomplished. We have gone from a place where we were polling at less than 1% to becoming the Democratic nominee with the most votes of any nominee in New York City primary. We have gone from being 10 points down with just a few days to go to winning a race with more than 12%. And we have gone from having 3 pre-written speeches, the best of which was, things look good, but we should wait, to getting a phone call from Andrew Cuomo and realizing we have to rewrite this speech. And we should celebrate this because you have done the impossible. You have willed it into existence. And you have done it especially in moments where others told you to wait.
Love Zoran, but DSA is a lib org. Okay. Well, you and the boys over at whatever revolutionary vanguardist party that you've cultivated will eventually fucking make a dent in American politics. And I'll be there right by your side. I'm not lying to you when I say this. I'm agnostic, okay? I am not organized. I'm not organization specific. I don't care. You fucking build it, I will be there. I will be by your side.
And yet
I'm so agnostic that I literally work with the Democratic Party if that is the necessity. I'll work with anybody.
We also know that this fight is not done. We are going to see even more money thrown at us. We are going to see a last gasp opposition to what this campaign represents. And we are going to see that over the next many months. And so while we should celebrate this moment, we should also know that it will require another fight from us once again. That this job is not finished. And that we will have to canvass once again. We will have to march once again. We will have to rally once again. And we will have to do it every single day until election day. But we also know that the job doesn't end on election day either. Because to be a good leftist means to know struggle as your friend. And to be a DSA member means to know that electoralism doesn't represent the entirety of the organization. It is our responsibility to build power everywhere. And so while we must win this election, we must also ensure that the left continues to build power. Because there are so many incredible things that a mayor can do, and there are even more things that the people of this city can do. And so I ask you also to join this organization and to remember that this is...
What is the DSA? Democratic Socialists of America, okay? They are the biggest tent left party in the United States. Okay, they are. Their membership ranges from fucking Maoist third worldists all the way to social democrats and even liberals, okay, just like anti-racist liberals. Obviously, these are the two extreme sides of the DSA. They do not make the bulk of the party membership, but it does have a space and a different caucus for whatever seasoning of leftists you are. Okay. And the liberals are even a smaller constituency within the organization than Maoists are. So obviously it's not like it's not representative of any sort of like real momentum within the party. The only organized leftist movement with any influence in American politics as of today, to be honest, and the best hope for overtaking the Democratic Party if we are to reform it. Yeah. Yeah, it's they're leftists. And I don't shit on PSL either. I like PSL, Party for Socialism and Liberation. I like the DSA. Like I said, I am agnostic. I don't care. I still try to advocate for entryism to the best of my ability. But if the party were to fail, if the Democrats were to fail, we need organizations like this to rebuild it from the ashes. The DSA doesn't just do electoralism. They certainly do it more than the PSL does. The PSL doesn't do much electoralism, but they're great in terms of mobilizing. They're great in terms of organizing. They're great in terms of community defense. PSL is. DSA does that as well, but they also do a lot more organizing on the election side. People who are asking me about ACP, I don't have any opinions on the ACP. Please stop. Okay, asking me about the ACP at this stage is like asking me about the fucking work-free subreddit. Like, EvComs do more infiltration of existing movements than the ACP does. There are a lot of fucking organizations out there. This is revisionist, yes.
No matter what, if you joined this organization back when I first truly learned of it in 2017, knocking on doors for Hadr al-Yatim in Bay Ridge, or if you're joining it today, it's yours. Because this is an organization that is committed to the dignity of working class people. And I'm asked in almost every interview, what does it mean? What does it mean that you're a democratic socialist? And the expectation is that I'll be like, oh, what? No, it means that you believe in dignity for all people. It means that you believe in the extension of democracy from the ballot box to the rest of our society. It means that you believe that no person should be priced out of that which is necessary for them to live their life in this city. And you know how I know that it's working is it used to be enough that the President of the United States would say that he's a socialist. But now he calls me a communist because the socialism just isn't hitting the way it used to. So we are, by last count, 8 members away. 8 members away. And so what I will ask you in the good old-fashioned organizational peer pressure, you need to find those 8 members. So who would be willing? Can we find at least one person to put their hand up who will join DSA today? We have one over here. We have one over here. We have one over here. We have 4. We have 5. We have 6. We have 7. We have 8. We have 9. We have 10. We have 11. We have 12. We have 13. 14. 15. 15. And what I want to ask you is to remember that it's not good enough to raise that hand, you gotta sign up. You can't just get the adrenaline from this one moment. Magdalena is gonna find you. She always does. But truly, it is a joy to be here. And it is a joy to have built this with all of you. And, you know, I, like many of you, have anxiety. And one of the things that has always helped me in dealing with that anxiety about the world is working through it. Going out and canvassing and organizing. And it is this organization that taught me the dignity we can win through that work. And I thank so many here who guided me for so many years. The names that you know and the ones that you don't. The electeds that you love and that we all must keep in their seats, and the incredible staff who make sure the work that we can actually do connects with working class people. And the organizers who take the time out of their lives each and every day to build it. It's a joy to be alongside you. It's a joy to have built this campaign, and it's going to continue to be a joy to win the city that we all deserve. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was great. There are a million Zorons out there, okay? It's not just Zoran. There are people in this community that could be the next Zoran. So don't get caught up in his like individual style and his charisma. That would be falling into the same trap that the Democrats are falling into. The assumption that it's just because he's like uniquely charismatic that he's able to do this. He is literally a brown Muslim socialist. Okay? He is a brown Muslim socialist. He already has numerous hurdles that he has climbed above to get to the place that he got to. Okay? You don't have to be a guy that comes from this background. All you need to do is believe in your message and stay the course and keep pushing. Keep bringing the conversation back to the issues that matter, that a better future is possible, that you can uplift the working class, that you can actually push for policies that are incredibly, incredibly popular. And if you can't be that person, you can also go out and door knock for that person. You can go out and organize for that person. Anyway, here's what Representative Hakeem Jeffries is focused on, even though his brother Hassan Kwame Jeffries is pro Zoran in the Zoran camp. His brother Hakeem, on the other hand, has some different opinions. Jeffries will meet this week with Zoran Mamdani, the Democratic nominee for New York City mayor. Jeffries hasn't endorsed Mamdani yet. Mamdani's past use of the phrase globalize the intifada will be a part of our discussion, Jeffries said, adding that Mamdani needs to reassure the Jewish community and others that he's going to stand up for their safety and security. Hey, Jeffries, when did Mamdani say this? Do you have any evidence? Because what he actually said in that interview was true and not particularly objectionable. People use the phrase to mean different things, and he's not sure about language policing. Nobody ever shared the clip when they're trying to smear him, and they fully deluded themselves. Also, what's incredibly frustrating about this is, even if he said globalize the intifada, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? That's what's so frustrating about this, is that they are able to sidestep the fake issue that they've created around even the statement globalize the intifada, okay, by hyper focusing on whether he said it or whether he didn't say it. He didn't say it, but who gives a fuck? If only all of the Jewish and Christian and Muslim queer English majors on college campuses were saying globalize the uprising instead of saying globalize the intifada, then maybe we could find another thing that people could like posture about and lose their minds over. First, we lost Grok. Then we lost Elmo. Now we lost Olivia Rodrigo. 40 million followers on Instagram, and posted this today. Rough week for the Jews/Zionists. We survived slavery in Egypt. We survived the Holocaust. Not sure we can survive this. Not sure we can survive Olivia Rodrigo describing the heartbreak that she feels witnessing the devastation that's being inflicted upon innocent people in Palestine. Mothers, fathers, and children in Gaza are starving, dehydrated, and being denied basic access to medical care and humanitarian aid. There's no child in Israel, Palestine, or anywhere in the world who deserves to suffer through what we're seeing these children have to endure. It is horrific and completely unacceptable. To give up on them is to give up on our shared humanity. I've made a donation to UNICEF to help support the victims of this horrifying situation and encourage you to do the same if you have the means. How will Jews survive this? Bro, why are you associating Judaism with like devastation upon why are you associating Jewish people all around the world with doing a live streamed Holocaust? Like, it is so fucking crazy to me. No, this guy isn't being sarcastic. Okay? This guy is not being sarcastic. This other guy making fun of him is. First we lost Grok, then we lost Elmo, now we lost Olivia Rodrigo. Israel's killed an average of 27 Palestinian children a day for the past 647 days. Why the fuck would any reasonable person try to associate that with motherfucking Judaism? Are you out of your mind? Are you on crack? Are you on crack cocaine? Are you stupid? Are you fucking insane? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing that you're like, no, you don't understand. Like, no, us Jews, we love this shit, bro. We need more of this. And if you are fucking against this like incredible cruelty, then you're anti-Semitic. Are you actively trying to fucking push people away? Are you actively trying to make people anti-Semitic? I don't understand it anymore. Meanwhile, at the anti-Mamdani rallies, by the way,
Mamdani is polling at 35%, Andrew Cuomo at 25%, Curtis Lee we're at 14%, and Eric Adams at 11%. Governor Cuomo and Tim Walden came out with a piece, and they want a pledge from all of the mayoral candidates, of which I was one.
There's literally a JDL flag there. That is a designated terrorist organization, by the way. Jewish Defense League. Like, The Jewish Defense League is more of a sincere, serious terrorism, capital T terrorist organization than fucking Hezbollah is, okay? Like, make no mistake, Hezbollah participates in the fucking Lebanese parliament. It has affairs involved in civil governance. Jewish Defense League does not. It's literally just a straightforward, it is just a straightforward, like, terrorist organization in the way that you understand it, okay? Yeah, Trump pride, gays for Trump. The Jewish Defense League is more of a serious terror organization than Hamas is. Hamas also has Hamas also has an involvement in civil governance, okay? It is the governing party of Gaza, like all civil affairs of Gaza. JDL does not have that. JDL is just a pure, straightforward terrorist organization. The JDL is so much of a right-wing Jewish supremacist terrorist organization that even the fucking ADL considers it a terrorist organization. The Jewish Defense League, also known as JDL, like, think about this. The Apartheid Defense League, the ADL, considers the Jewish Defense League to be a right-wing extremist group. Now, of course, if Jonathan Greenblatt heard me say that about Hamas versus JDL, he would lose his fucking mind. The Jewish Defense League, also known as JDL, was established in 1968 for the declared purpose of protecting Jews by whatever means necessary in the face of what was seen by the group's principles as their dire peril. The founder, the national chairman and leader of the JDL, was then a 38-year-old ordained rabbi from Brooklyn, New York, Meir Kahan, who in 1990 was assassinated in New York by an Arab extremist. That's a crazy way to fucking present this, okay? Meir Kahan is literally a fucking straightforward American-born terrorist, okay? In Rabbi Kahan's gross distortion of the position of Jews in America, American Jews were living in a fiercely hostile society, facing much of the same dangers as the Jews in Nazi Germany or those in Israel surrounded by 100 million Arab enemies. Rabbi Kahan believed that the major Jewish organizations in the United States had failed to protect America's Jews from anti-Semitism, which he saw as exploding all over the country. If I have succeeded in instilling fear in you, Rabbi Kahan said in the closing statement of his standard speech, I consider this evening a success. In fact, Kahan consistently preached a radical form of Jewish nationalism which reflected racism, violence, and potential political extremism. Now, what's ironic about the ADL saying this was published in 2017, is that the ADL now is damn near identical in the Kahanist position. Many liberal Zionists basically formed into Kahanists. There was a point in time when this broadly was considered like a bridge too far. This was ridiculous. This was hysterical. Now, a lot of the liberal Zionists that you hear from unironically present this as the same exact fucking position, that the Holocaust is literally about to happen any moment now because Zohran Mamdani became the winner of the Democratic primary. For those of you who don't know, anytime you see like a Nazi post a old ass fucking video footage of a bunch of Jewish dudes sitting around talking about how like the goy are cattle or whatever, it's these guys. Okay. Ironically enough, they are Nazis. They're Jewish Nazis, which is hilarious because Nazis fucking hate them and will routinely point to, some fucking unearthed footage from a JDL meeting where they're talking about how like we must dominate the Goyim cattle or whatever to say this is how all Jews think. New survey, Jewish Trump voters think Israel is not doing enough genocide. The JDL actually had a civil arm as well via Kahan's party in the Knesset, Kach. But now that both don't really exist anymore, you have the Jewish Power Party of Ben Gvir. I know. I was gonna mention that. Like the Jewish Power Party is basically the current formation of Kahan. Kach. Here are some of JDL's choice work. In 1972, a JDL bombing an office space in Manhattan killed 27-year-old Iris Cones of Long Island. In 1985, members of the JDL almost certainly sent the pipe bomb that killed Alex Ode of the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee. In 1994, JDL member Baruch Goldstein, this is the most famous incident, threw a grenade into a mosque and then opened fire, killing 29 and injuring 125 before he was beaten to death with a fire extinguisher. Decades later, here is their graffiti celebrating the mass killing. The famous massacre was a Kahanist, a follower of Meir Kahan, Baruch Goldstein, who adorned the garb of the Israeli occupying force and went in and slaughtered a bunch of Palestinians. Itamar Ben-Gvir famously had Baruch Goldstein's photo in his Baruch Goldstein's photo in his apartment. Of course, Itamar Ben-Gvir himself was also considered far too extreme for the Israeli occupying force, and he never served for that reason. Baruch Goldstein is still seen as a hero in Israel by many. Back in the day, seen as a hero by extremists, now seen as a hero by many more, as extremism has grown rapidly. Speaking of Odeh, the Knesset failed to expel Ayman Odeh. Good news. With only 73 votes in favor, motion to expel Hadash Ta'al's chairman, Ayman Odeh, fails to pass. One of the only anti-Zionists in the fucking Knesset. And they were trying to kick him out. This is the same party that Ofer Kasif is a part of as well. Hadash Ta'al. He's the chair. Anyway, he doesn't identify as an anti-Zionist as far as I know, only Kasif. Ayman Odeh is great. They did the same thing that Ofer Kasif, but the Haredim being mad about the conscription stuff meant they abstained. So anyway, the JDL is a bunch of freaks, and the only reason why they were taken off the terrorism list under the Biden administration was because Biden is a fucking rabid ultranationalist Zionist, as we know, and also because they were defunct, like they weren't in operation, is what the Brandon admin said. Yeah, here. I mean, there's they have all of their work here on the ADL website if you want to find out more before they delete it. But yeah, this is, hold on. This is who is against Zohran Mamdani. A whopping 40 people. Great stuff. They're doing the most out here. They're really going to win, dude. I see it. Terrifying. I'm shaking in my boots. Good luck. But yeah. Obama's blunt message to the Democrats. Former President Barack Obama issued a call to action for Democrats at a private fundraiser in New Jersey on Friday evening, urging those frustrated by the state of the country under President Donald Trump to stand up for the things that you think are right. It's going to require a little bit less navel gazing and a little less whining and being in fetal positions. And it's going to require Democrats to just toughen up, Obama said at the fundraiser, according to excerpts of his remarks exclusively obtained by the CNN. You know, don't tell me you're a Democrat, but you're kind of disappointed right now, so you're not doing anything. No, now is exactly the time that you need to get in there and do something, he said. Don't say that you care deeply about free speech and then you're quiet. No, you stand up for free speech when it's hard. When somebody says something that you don't like, but you still say, you know what, that person has the right to speak. What's needed now is courage. He's literally trying to fucking tell the Democrats to shut the fuck up about Zohran Mamdani without actively saying it. Even Redditors are mad at Obama. Look at the comments. Lol, the vibe shift is tectonic. Let's take a look. Obama slams Democrats for being in fetal positions and calls for the left to toughen up against Trump. Didn't love Obama because politicians should not be loved, but I really truly appreciate his time as president. However, Obama never showed a spine when they blocked all his justice appointments. Yeah, toughen up is rich coming from him. Him letting the turtle smack him around is a part of how we got here. That's crazy. Oh my God. Reddit liberals are talking like me in like 2016. Okay, this is good. If we can get Reddit liberals to behave like me in 2016, then we can get them to be on board with what, democratic socialism by like 2028. They're catching up. I mean, I'm serious. It's good. This is a good positive change. It's a good change in the right direction. Hopefully they'll catch up eventually. Or they won't catch up, but they'll get to a position that is like decent and reasonable. I mean, every Reddit basically was like a pro-Israel mouthpiece for the last year and a half. So I think that it's gotten to a point where you can't really bot your way out of it. So that's good. I guess Reddit liberals do hate Trump more than they hate the left. And they do recognize like the left as standing firmly in opposition to Donald Trump when their party officials, the establishment Democrats that they otherwise would defend, are doing a horrible job at it. It's kind of like Republicans and anti-pedophilia. Okay? I never would have thought that the Republicans earnestly were anti-pedophilia. As a matter of fact, I thought they were kind of pro-pedophilia. They talk about beauty pageants for children in a positive way. They talk about fucking, child marriages, child brides in a positive way. So I was wrong. I'm here to admit that there are plenty of Republicans who legitimately are anti-pedophilia. Why am I saying this? Because they're very upset. There are Republicans who are very upset with Donald Trump and his mishandling of the Jeffrey Epstein client list, whatever you want to call it. Okay? And I guess there are definitely liberals in the same vein that actually do care about like launching a strong opposition against Donald Trump, and that they were truly upset with the left because they They might have been wrong, but they genuinely thought that the left was presenting a hurdle against defeating Donald Trump. Like, they were at least honest. They were incorrect in getting mad at the left, but at least they were honest. It's funny, there are random subreddits that are just super libbed up and hate Israel, where others are libbed up and love Israel. r/public freak out for some reason is always posting anti-Israel speeches, and he gets like 10K upvotes. Yeah. My friend's MSNBC wine mom is on the Mamdani train and said centrists enable fascism. That's amazing. I welcome every single person that recognizes the reality that our struggle is against fascism and our struggle is against inequality with open arms, okay? I see the Democratic Party at times as a hurdle against that message. I'm glad that the Wine Mom Coalition, which is the most important constituency in any party, in any mobilization, I welcome them with open arms. The Debras and the Barbaras that are demanding that their Democratic electeds go and fucking put their lives on the line are heroes, okay? They are correct, and they should be celebrated. They should be praised for having this kind of attitude and for routinely bringing this kind of attitude up with their Democratic electeds. The wine moms are fucking livid, and that's a good thing. I have always maintained the position that I despise the Democratic Party for its closeness to the Republican Party. I do not hate the Democrats because I'm secretly a Trumper or whatever the fuck dumb liberals have presented me as. I don't like that the Democrats will take on pro-Trump positions. I don't like that the Democrats will defend Trumpian positions and right-wing positions. I care about policies above all else. If you're a politician, put the policy in the bag. I don't care about you being my friend. It goes for Zoran too. Okay? Put the fucking policy in the bag, bro. That's all I care about. Put the policy in the bag. That's all you are good for. Anyway, before we get to the Epstein stuff, Trump has now arrived at the Democratic Party's conclusion on Ukraine, it seems. This is another I told you so moment. I did think maybe Trump could present an alternative with Vladimir Putin, but no such alternative can exist without getting China to the table. And considering that Donald Trump has been incredibly antagonistic towards China and weirdly conciliatory towards Russia for no reason other than the fact that I think he wants to have sex with Vladimir Putin, while simultaneously shitting on his proxy, Ukraine, Donald Trump has now finally arrived at the Joe Biden position, which is crazy. As someone who's in favor of a ceasefire where Russia scales back its military conquest in Ukraine in an effort to avoid further death and further collapse, I thought maybe there was a moment there. There was a pathway there. It was unlikely. And of course, all of that fell apart as soon as this dipshit started shitting on Zelensky. And as I said, American foreign policy is uniparty regardless. And now we're back to the uniparty position where Donald Trump is talking about giving Patriot missiles to Ukraine. However, the major problem for Ukraine still remains. The major hurdle for Ukraine is manpower. What will they do?
Okay, is to hear that we are very unhappy, I am, with Russia, but we'll discuss that maybe a different day. But we're very, very unhappy with them, and we're going to be doing very severe tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. Tariffs at about 100%. You'd call them secondary tariffs. You know what that means. But today we're going to talk about something else. And as you know, we've spent $350 billion approximately on this war with Russia and Ukraine. And would like to see it end. It wasn't my war, it was Biden's war. It's not my war, I'm trying to get you out of it. And we want to see it end. And I'm disappointed in President Putin because I thought we would have had a deal 2 months ago, but it doesn't seem to get there. So based on that, we're going to be doing secondary tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. It's very simple. And they'll be at 100%. And that's the way it is. That can be more simple. It's just the way it is. I hope we don't have to do it. But regardless, we are going to be, we make the greatest military equipment in the world, whether it's missiles. You saw that recently in Iran, the way those planes flew in. They had every single, 14 bombs hit every target.
Yeah, secondary tariffs will likely hit China, Germany, and India because these countries buy lots of Russian oil. I'm from Ukraine and I'm basically on lockdown because if I'm conscription age and if I go out, because I'm conscription age and if I go out, I might get caught on the steer ice style. Yeah. What Russian products does the USA even bring in? No, the remaining way of like actually fucking trying to hit Russia is by sanctioning countries that are secondary markets for Russian energy to enter the global marketplace, like India, for example, in an effort to try and sever ties between India and Russia, which I don't know how successful he could be on this as well. I don't know how much success he can see here because he's fucking up the bag in a meaningful way for every other country on the planet. The only way to do this, the only way to arrive at a reasonable outcome here was by not applying pressure to China, but offering an olive branch to China and getting China to apply pressure to Russia. That's what I think, at least. And I'm a stupid guy. I'm not the smartest guy out there, okay? But of course, he was not interested in doing that at all. He was not interested in getting everybody, the actual players, involved. And instead, personally thought that he could just like use his like direct line of communication with Vladimir Putin and all of the praise that he's heard from Vladimir Putin that he took as sincere. He foolishly thought, as long as I follow through on whatever the fuck Vladimir Putin demands of me, then I'll be able to pack this up. Some of the conditions that Vladimir Putin gave him were insane. Some of the positions that he got from Vladimir Putin as like concessions that he forced down Zelensky's throat were absolutely insane. It would have been non-starters. And yet, Vladimir Putin, much like how Benjamin Netanyahu did with the Brandon team, was able to use the negotiations process and the ceasefire conditions and the ceasefire back and forth as a way to sever America's existing ties with Ukraine, as a way to halt weapons transfers and cause more severe blows to Ukraine in the process. Vladimir Putin played him like a fucking fiddle. 100%. That's what he did. And he's such an absolute dumbass with a cult of personality that people thought he was actually brilliant. He was actually, they still presented as brilliant. There was a lot of quote unquote anti-war people out there, or there were a lot of, subtle pro-Russian support out there that also presented this as like Trump's paving a bold new path with Russia. One of the dumbest things I think you can do in any negotiations process is fuck over your guy in the negotiations. If your goal is to end the hostilities, if your goal is to actually get to a ceasefire, then it is perhaps the dumbest thing you can do if you're undermining your proxy in the conversation. And in this circumstance, it was Zelensky. And that's precisely what Trump did. Yes, but you have 2020 hindsight. How could Trump know Pootie Poo would lie? I mean, I don't think that requires hindsight. I know you're making a joke.
To go in response.
In what?
How far are you willing to go if Putin were to escalate, send more bombs in the coming days?
Don't ask me a question like that. How far? I want to get the war settled. They're not Americans that are dying in it, and I have a problem, and JD has a problem. It's a stance that he's had for a long time. They're not Americans dying, but there are a lot of people dying, and on something that should be able to be settled. And we all agree with that.
When did Putin lie? What do you mean, when did Putin lie? Throughout the entire negotiations process, Vladimir Putin went to Donald Trump directly and said, if you give me a sweetheart deal where you just basically recognize, if you give me a sweetheart deal and you force Ukraine to recognize all the territories that I have fucking forcibly annexed, okay, then I know that you have an investment in like ending this war, which is seen as like broadly unpopular by your base. I will give that to you. I will give you a cessation of hostilities. That was a lie. And you want to know how that was a lie? Yeah, my mom just walked in. Because the moment that like cessation of hostilities started being a point of, the moment that like a ceasefire bargain was followed up with like concessions from Zelensky, what did Vladimir Putin say? What did Vladimir Putin say and do? Oh, just kidding. Actually, we don't want this because a cessation of hostilities would only allow Ukraine to re-up and rearm. That's it. As soon as as soon as Zelensky was seen as conceding to these already ridiculous positions that would have been a death sentence for him, both for his further political ambitions, but maybe even his life. Even after all of that, Vladimir Putin was like, oh yeah, we can't actually do a ceasefire. And they just kept fucking pushing. The U.S. didn't comply with any of Putin's demands. He stated his position. How is that a lie? Brother, Putin's demands beyond what Trump had already secured from Ukraine were insane. If you're talking about additional territories that they had not even militarily conquered at this point, you're out of your fucking mind. Okay, you might as well just give Vladimir Putin the entirety of Ukraine then. Like what kind of fucking, that's not how diplomacy is conducted. The shit that Zelensky conceded on was already maximalist, was already incredibly unfair. You're out of your mind if you want, Putin's demand was just basically to give up the entirety of the country at that point. Like, Donald Trump gave a massive W to Vladimir Putin if Vladimir Putin were to concede and actually go along with the ceasefire terms that were designed. It was far more than I think is appropriate. Okay? Far more. Like whether it be the extraction of whatever natural resources Ukraine has on top of all the territories that are considered de facto a part of Russia, that Russia was militarily able to secure. So it was a massive W, but Russia didn't take it. You're brilliant. Yes, it was. But I think Vladimir Putin considers this not enough, and he thinks that he can get more. He can push more militarily, kill more people, take over more Ukrainian territory by force, and eventually come back to the table at another stalemate with even more territory. Off topic, but just seen Pegasus video and I'm conflicted. What, like the spyware, the Israeli spyware? Isn't your analysis that Ukraine is several months from losing via being out of troops? If you were in charge, why would you accept concessions when you're going to get the whole country like you said? I don't think they're going to get the whole country. And even if they were to take over more territory, I never said that Russia would be able to annex the entire country and maintain it militarily. I think that's a long-standing death sentence. Ukraine has a right to self-determination, but without an army, they can't enforce it. My analysis in this regard is that you can't get Russia to do anything. You can't concede because it's a foreign adversary that has designed its entire economy around American sanctions. So you have to bring in other people, major partners of Russia, to the table, China being one of them, to once and for all pack this up. If your goal is truly to get to some kind of cessation of hostilities, then that's what you have to do. Trump didn't do that. He just undermined his own proxy and thought that would allow that, and gave a sweetheart deal to Vladimir Putin, thinking that this would allow Vladimir Putin to come to the table and say yes. So he spent all of his social and political capital shitting on Zelensky, and now he has to go back on that and give more money and more weapons to Ukraine, which is the exact opposite of his campaign promises, which puts him at odds with some members of his base, at least.
This group of people, that, we want to defend our country, but ultimately, having a strong Europe is a very good thing. It's a very good thing. So I'm okay with that. Yeah, please, in the back.
What is this? If your membership in a military alliance is viewed as an active threat by a country, they will act with force against it. Can Mexico join a military alliance with China? By your logic, yes. Would the U.S. government tolerate that? No. Okay. First of all, I understand the NATO posturing playing a role in this. What the fuck? One, not only am I anti-NATO, but two, I've also talked about how Biden fucked this. I mean, it goes back beyond Biden. It goes back all the way to George W. Bush saying on his way out that he was going to bring Georgia and Ukraine into NATO. Okay. Very quickly after that, Russia seized control over Georgian territory. Okay. Making that already impossible situation even less possible. And now what Vladimir Putin did in Georgia, he's basically doing in Ukraine as well, in a way worse and way more bloody fashion. So every step of the way, there could have been assurances, and also there was no real interest from any of the Western nations in terms of bringing Ukraine into NATO anyway. Vladimir Putin knew that. If I know that, he fucking knows that. So he's just using that as a reason for why he wanted to militarily handle Ukraine. He already had tremendous control over two territories, LPR and DPR. In Ukraine, there was already active conflict going on there. He had already forcibly taken over Crimea, which was still seen as Russian territory. No country is going to allow a nation that has been occupied by Russia into NATO anyway. Every other country understands, even if Vladimir Putin hadn't done that, it's impossible for them to allow Ukraine into NATO and vote for Ukraine to join NATO. Why would they? Russia is a major energy provider, okay? Russia is literally a major energy provider for European countries. If Russia had continued doing trade, they would have been fine. If they continued doing soft power, they would have been fine. Now, they've lost a fuck ton of people in the process, and the entire economy is a war economy. Anyway, here we are.
And when it comes to
in this endless bloody quagmire.
CBS's Jim Laporta has learned a recent defense intelligence assessment shows Ukraine.
What is this? There's absolutely no circumstance Putin will stop destroying until it starts hurting his regime. The Syrians didn't kick out Russia by getting China on some table. NATO is no threat to Russia. Bro, you can't be serious if you're talking about Syria. Yeah, we should just bring dude, this is the Ryan Ruth position, ironically. We have 2,000 NATO-trained Afghan soldiers waiting to go. But instead of NATO-trained Afghan soldiers, we should bring the Salafists into Ukraine and have them fucking fight. We should have the Turkish Free Syrian Army move away from Syria into Ukraine. Just ship them out. Ship all the fucking ISIS-aligned, ISIS-adjacent groups into Ukraine and have them fight to defend Ukrainian soil. You can't compare Russia's military campaign in Ukraine to Russia's warm water port in Syria. It's not comparable.
Shortfall in artillery and in drones will lead to marked Russian territorial gains in 2026, with Russia gaining 7-to-1 firepower superiority by this winter. How can you get them what they need if Congress will not approve in the House any new funding? Is it what Senator Blumenthal just laid out?
Well, just stay tuned for tomorrow's announcement. The idea of America selling weapons to help Ukraine is very much in play. We've given Ukraine a lot. We've given them money. We've given them military aid. We now have a minerals agreement with Ukraine that's worth trillions of dollars. So I don't want to get ahead of the president, but stay tuned about seized assets. The Europeans want to limit the interest on the assets to go to Ukraine. Secretary Bessent wants to go further. Stay tuned about a plan to go after the seized assets more aggressively. Stay tuned for a plan where America will begin to sell to our European allies tremendous amount of weapons that can benefit Ukraine. Putin has calculated that we would get tired and Europe would get weary. He made a huge mistake. NATO is bigger and stronger, and we're more committed than ever to make sure he does not take Ukraine by force. So Congress is on the verge of passing the most consequential sanction package in the history of the country. It will give President Trump tools he doesn't have today, a literal sledgehammer. And the big offender here is China, India, and Brazil. India buys oil from Russia cheap and resells it. That's despicable. I've talked to President Trump. He said last week it's time to move. He's tried to entice Putin to the table, but my goal is to end this war, and the only way you're going to end this war is to get people who prop up Putin, make them choose between the American economy and helping Putin, and you can only have one negotiator, and that's going to be President Trump.
Okay, but like, what happens when there's no hands left to hold the weapons? Like, sure, we're selling the weapons, and that's definitely a necessity, right, for Ukraine to defend itself. But what happens when there's no people? Like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna force Ukraine to get more aggressive? I said with their conscription practices, which is already pretty fucking aggressive to begin with, or are you going to literally forcibly send Ukrainian men that are of conscription age in Western countries that have refugee status right now back to Ukraine so they can be shipped off to the front lines? Is there an appetite for that? What kind of dangers does that present for Ukrainian stability? What does Ukraine look like 10 years in the future if all of their able-bodied men have been slaughtered in the process of trying to push Russians back like, I don't know, 10 meters? That's it. I don't know where this goes, because there are currently millions of Ukrainian men that live, tens of millions of Ukrainian men and women that live in the United States of America and in Europe. Okay? They got refugee status after Russia invaded Ukraine. Are you going to send those guys back? Are you going to forcibly go and send people back to Ukraine so they can be shipped off to a facility and trained to fight and defend Ukraine? Because without that, I don't see any other way that Ukraine gets to hold out further.
Maximum flexibility to end this war. China, India, and Brazil, you're about to get hurt big time if you keep helping.
Russia invaded Georgia in 2008 for territory, Ukraine in 2014 for territory, but somehow the invasion of 2022 was only because of NATO. Sure, bro. I mean, dude, I already accounted for that. And yes, both could trace back to NATO. Like I said, on his way out, George W. Bush literally said Georgia and Ukraine should join NATO. Immediately after George W. Bush said that, invaded Georgia. So yes, part of that is NATO involvement. Even if India is incidentally one of the countries impacted by U.S. secondary sanctions on Russia, I do not understand why U.S. officials, not just Graham, are calling New Delhi out by name in public at a time when they are ostensibly working together regarding China.
Then you had the helicopters shoot a total of 30 bombs, 30 missiles, and they hit every single marker. Is that right? Every single piece, every single target. And it was, I guess, on a scale of 0 to 10, they say it was about a 15. That's how successful it was. That's how lethal it was. A word they like to use nowadays, but it was an amazing, well-organized attack that people in this country wanted to do for 24 years. You know, when we had the pilots in last week, they were saying, sir, we've been practicing this for 24 years, meaning people, not them, but other people that are a little older now, but they too, and you were the one that let us do it. But we've been practicing it 3 to 4 times a year for 22, 24 years, because they always knew they had to stop Iran from doing what they were doing, which is trying to come up with a nuclear weapon, a nuclear bomb. And we did it very successfully. And we make the best equipment, the best missiles, the best of everything. The European nations know that. And we've made a deal today, and I'm going to have Mark speak about it, but we've made a deal today where we are going to be sending them weapons and they're going to be paying for them. The United States will not be having any payment made. We're not buying it, but we will manufacture it and they're going to be paying for it.
Brazil is not going to budge its sovereignty with Lula in power right now. Lula is no strong leftist leader by any means, but he's a nationalist like no other we've had before. He's conceding national media interviews saying that the time for U.S. intervention here is over. Yeah, I think that with the exception of some Latin American leaders that are servants of the West and Western interests or the IMF, like, well, you know who I'm talking about. Many Latin American countries, many South American countries at this point are entirely anti-U.S. as their position. They've hardened their stances. Yeah, Milei and Bukele is who I was talking about. Yeah, Lula is not like a fucking... That's fair to say Lula is not a strong leftist leader. I mean, he is decent. But if there's one thing that unites a lot of South American leadership at this point, perhaps a force that is even more galvanizing than socialism, okay, certainly more galvanizing than socialism, is sovereignty. And sovereignty is nationalism. Sovereignty is being rid of American intervention. I'll give you an example. It's one I used in the aftermath of Maduro's suspicious election victory, right? For years and years, Maduro's popularity has actually relied on the Chavistas as a movement in the country, okay? And he's eaten good off of the Chavez popularity in the country. And yet, year over year, due to his mismanagement, due to endless crippling sanctions, due to being shut out from the global stage, shut out from the global markets, and a collapsed Venezuelan economy, Maduro's popularity has fallen apart, and also due to corruption. Okay? He's hardened his positions. He's gotten more aggressive in the state's repression. Some might say it is an inevitability or a necessity to maintain control and maintain sovereignty. I'm not here to make that argument. I'm simply saying that the way that people see Maduro in Venezuela is nowhere near as it once was, and is certainly nowhere close to the way that people saw Chavez. Like, Chavez had a real popular movement, so popular that it actually helped Maduro in the beginning. Having said that, in the aftermath of Maduro's last election victory, okay, every single Latin American leader came out and said, we don't know about this. Like, we don't know about what happened here. Until the United States of America and the OAS came out and said, we do not agree with the election that took place in Venezuela. That literally stopped every single Latin American, South American, North American, every single country from criticism against Maduro. It stopped it dead in its tracks, because as soon as America interfered, as soon as the United States of America interfered and released a statement on whether or not the election was real or valid or legitimate, they were like, all right, we're done. We're not involved in this. Maduro is the fucking leader of Venezuela. Shut the fuck up. Because with the exception of Bukele and the exception of Milei, South American leadership sees American intervention as the worst possible outcome. And that is an understandable position to have if American-backed leadership like Bolsonaro has ruined your country, or your country has a not so distant history of American intervention that was incredibly violent. So for them, it's a non-starter. It's the quickest way to immediately take the opposing stance. No, Mexico included. That's why I said South America, but also even North America. There's like Mexico included, Latin American countries. Most Latin American countries, the moment that America intervenes in any Latin American country's affairs, they go, all right, fuck that. It's a non-starter. So I think that's the reason why I don't see Lula capitulating to Trump's ridiculous demands and his like tariffs, his tariffs regime. I don't see that happening anytime soon, especially now that there is a secondary market that is global, with China being the primary engine backing its existence. It makes it all the more difficult, in my opinion, to muscle around. Crazy didn't catch a ban, echo chamber. What? You didn't even say anything. Why would we ban you?
Our last meeting of a month ago was very successful in that they agreed to 5%, which is more than $1 trillion a year, so they have a lot of money. And these are wealthy nations. They have a lot of money, and they want to do it. They feel very strongly about it, and we feel strongly about it, too. So we're in for a lot.
Unlike Bolsonaro, Lula was, when arrested, never asked for a pardon or amnesty, or fake cried or fake got sick and went to the hospital as a method of diversion. Okay, I'm sorry. This is the one time where I will disagree with you. Bolsonaro is not fake sick. Okay, he is real sick. He's both sick in the mind and sick in the body. He is the most diseased man on the planet. So when he goes to the hospital and he has to poop out of his nose, okay, I don't think that's fake. I don't think he's like fake sick. I think he's just diseased. He is the most diseased man on the planet. So I will push back on that. He is a one-stop COVID shop. Okay? God has consistently tried to take him out. I don't know how the fuck Satan is keeping him alive. But he is walking, he is a walking disease.
A lot of money, and we don't want to do anymore, and we can't. But we make the best, and we're going to be sending the best to NATO, and in some cases to maybe, at Mark's suggestion, if we go to Germany, where they're going to send early on missiles, and they'll be replaced, and NATO is going to take care of it. It's going to be coordinated by NATO, and they're going to work very much with Matt Whitaker, who's right here, who's a great ambassador, and Matt's going to be coordinating. You better do a good job, Matt.
I will.
But Matt's going to coordinate. He's a very talented guy. He's going to coordinate everything. So in a nutshell, we're going to make top-of-the-line weapons, and they'll be sent to NATO. NATO may choose to have certain of them sent to other countries where we can get a little additional speed, where the country will release something and it'll be mostly in the form of a replacement. And I'd like to have Mark, and again, just a highly respected, pretty young guy for having had the career that he's had, because he had an amazing career before going to NATO. So, and we spent a lot of time together over the last couple of months. And if you could say a few words.
Absolutely. No, Mr. President, dear Donald, this is really big. This is really big. You called me on Thursday that you had taken a decision. And the decision is that you want Ukraine what it needs to have to maintain, to be able to defend itself against Russia, but you do want Europeans to pay for it, which is totally logical. And this is building on the tremendous success of the NATO summit, the 5%.
Why is Mark Rutte so cringe? It's because he is the most cucked person on the planet. It's because it goes against everything that Europeans who come from a proud tradition of like maintaining empire, it goes against that. He is the most servile being in the entire European continent. Okay? It's because he just like, he gets on his hands and knees and he sucks Trump dry every fucking day of the week. I mean, he called him daddy. He called him fucking daddy, dude. I mean, it's his job. He's the fucking he's the Secretary General of NATO. It's his job. But it is incredible. He did. He texted him, Daddy Trump. You guys not remember? So if you're European and you feel like, yeah, maybe you believe that like NATO is not a protection racket and it's actually not a way for America to like forcibly sell you arms off of the taxable revenue that you're generating, right? If you're of the mindset that like, well, you know, Putin's going to invade fucking Norway or some shit, okay? And Putin's going to invade all the way to like Eastern Germany once again. And that's why NATO has to exist. Mark Rutte destroys that notion. He literally, or at the very least, like he presents himself as such a servile little cuck that even if you had fears that Berlin would fall to Russian control, all of a sudden you're more focused on how much of a fucking disgusting little servile peasant. It breaks any kind of sovereignty narrative that European countries might have ever had. That's why I think people hate him, understandably. Yes, NATO attack, mini F. At the end of the day, European liberals will do whatever America asks of them. It is the left that needs to protest this 5% demand. Labor is literally cutting disability benefits at the same time, raising tens of billions for the military. Yeah, I mean, don't talk to me about the labor movement in the UK. He is now even more hated than when he was prime minister here in the Netherlands. He is known as a suck-up that bows to everyone, foreign or domestic.
But also the decision to keep Ukraine strong and the decision to increase our defense industrial production. So based on that...
Eurolibs are pissed about the 5% GDP thing. Everyone here hates it. Yeah, no shit. It's the most like burger America ass initiative, dude. 5% of your GDP, it's over. Like, it's so fucking over because that means austerity for all the social safety nets that actually made your lives manageable, okay? It turns every country in the European continent into America, into little Americas, so that you can have F-35 jets. What are you going to do? An F-35 jet is not healthcare, okay? You can't do healthcare with an F-35 jet. I'm sorry. What do you think the 5% is being invested in? What do you mean? American weapons. That's it. You got countries like Germany who think like, oh, we can do a war economy ourselves. We can do military Keynesianism here in Germany. We can basically re-Nazify and remilitarize Germany and become defense contractors ourselves. But that also destroys the entire reason for wanting more. America is demanding more from European countries, so they purchase American weapons. They don't want Europe to become a market competitor. They don't want the European defense industry to become a competitive industry to the American weapons manufacturers. That's it.
That was Europe stepping up. This is again Europeans stepping up. So I've been in contact with many countries. I can tell you that at this moment, Germany massively, but also Finland and Denmark and Sweden and Norway, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Canada, they all want to be part of this. And this is only the first wave. There will be more. So what we will do is work through the NATO systems to make sure that we know what Ukrainians need, so that we can make packages. Of course, in a way, we discussed
Your
this morning,
encoder is breaking. It's not. It's my ISP. My ISP is busted. How can you fix the Fs, Smokey? I'm willing to hear you out. Let's do it.
At the Pentagon, in a way that, of course, the US will put on its stockpiles necessary to defend this country. That's absolutely clear. But it will mean that Ukraine can get its hands on really massive numbers of military equipment, both for air defense, but also missiles, ammunition, etc., etc. So if I was Vladimir Putin today and hear you speaking about what you were planning to do in 50 days and this announcement, I would reconsider whether I should not take negotiations about Ukraine more seriously than I was doing at the moment, if I was Vladimir Putin. But when I'm Ukraine, I think this is really great news for them. So I really want to thank you for that. And it means the Europeans paying for it. And again, I mentioned all these countries, we will deal with that. And exactly as you said, it might also mean that countries will move equipment fast into Ukraine and then the US later backfilling it because speed is of the essence here. So really, thank you. This is important.
You did a great job. That's a really great job.
He's literally, his position as the general secretary is basically to say, thank you for spitting on my face, Mr. President. Thank you for pissing on me. It is raining. I love it. I love the rain. It's beautiful this time of the year. Thank you.
We've been very successful in settling wars. You have India, Pakistan. You have Rwanda and the Congo. That was going on for 30 years. India, by the way, and Pakistan would have been a nuclear war within another week, the way that was going. That was going very bad.
Like the one saving grace of capitalist liberal democracies in the West was its diminishing, but still comparatively robust social safety nets and its public goods. And that's going away. Settings advanced, scroll down the network, dynamically change bitrate to manage congestion. What is this? Advanced. Scroll down. I don't even think I can do that while I'm live, but scroll down to network. It's not, oh yeah, I can't scroll down the network and change network while I'm live. I guess I could try and do that by swapping over to another, hold on. I'll do a BRB screen real quick and see if I can do it. Okay. All right. Let's see. Hey, we got him, boys. Let's see. Maybe there's no more lag. No more ads.
We did that through trade. I said, we're not going to talk to you about trade unless you get this thing settled, and they did. And they were both great leaders, and they were great. But Rwanda and the Congo, that was going on for 30 years, and at least 7 million people killed with a lot of pretty rough weapons like machetes, heads chopped off, going on for many years. You couldn't even get near the country.
Smokey, if this still F's, I'm banning you. I'm perma-banning you. Okay?
Nobody wanted to get near it, so frightening. And
I'll
we got
ban
that
you.
one solved. Serbia, Kosovo, got that solved. That was going to be one that was going to happen. And again, that was something I use. I use trade for a lot of things, but it's great for settling wars. That was really very important. We're working, Marco is working very hard with everybody here on the Strip, the Gaza Strip. I call it the Gaza Strip, one of the worst real estate deals ever made. They gave up the oceanfront property, one of the worst deals ever made. But It was supposed to bring peace, and it didn't bring peace. It brought the opposite. But we're doing pretty well on Gaza. Steve Witkoff is here, and I think we could have something fairly soon to talk about. And we solved another one, that we just seem to have, Armenia and Azerbaijan. It looks like that's going to come to a conclusion, successful conclusion. We worked on Egypt with a next door neighbor who, it's a good neighbor, they're friends of mine, but they happened to build a dam which closed up water going into a thing called the Nile. I think if I'm Egypt, I want to have water in the Nile, and we're working on that one. It's a problem, but it's going to get solved. They built one of the biggest dams in the world, a little bit outside of Egypt. You know about that? You've been hearing about that one. And that turned out to be a big problem. I don't know. I think the United States funded the dam. I don't know why they didn't solve the problem before they built the dam. But it's nice when the Nile River has water. It's a very important source of income and life. It's the life of Egypt. And to take that away is pretty incredible. But we think we're going to have that solved very quickly.
Enough champagne to fill the Nile.
The only one we haven't been able to get to yet is Russia. I'm not happy, and I will tell you that Ukraine wants to do something. Again, it's a war that should have never started. If I were president, it never would have happened. I used to speak to President Putin about it a lot. It was the apple of his eye.
The new 5% doesn't go only towards weapons. It also funds R&D for things like new rails, trains, hospitals, reinforcing existing hospitals, etc. That Europe as a whole just hasn't been putting enough into its defense, which is why Ursula herself decided to invest 800 billion euros all of a sudden. It's just crazy that European countries invested less than 2% each year with all the ongoing wars. Sure, bud. Maybe it's just me, but I love NATO. When NATO invades a country, chat honestly believes it's a defensive invasion. NATO is a shining light on a truth that international law too often obfuscates. Protection rackets are profitable. Who is anyone to say that NATO's opinion isn't valid? What NATO is doing is reminding us of a dream that we forgot. That in this world, America will invade anywhere to raise Raytheon stock prices. Yeah, no, it's when Trump says you need 5% of your GDP to be dedicated to purchasing American weapons. What he actually means is like, I want you to do more socialism. I want you to desperately fund your underfunded hospitals. You know, that's what I want you to do.
But once I saw what was going on, I said, they're gonna have a war here. I was outside, election was rigged, and I was outside looking in, and I said, that thing's gonna be a war. Couldn't believe it, because what Biden said was the exact opposite of what should have been said. And it started, and it's a real mess. We're losing, I guess they're losing 5,000 or 6,000 people a day. It's actually now more. I was saying 5,000 a day. It's actually more now. Mostly soldiers, but a lot of people in cities and towns that are getting blown up to. It's a horrible war, and it should be stopped. And so if it's not done, if we don't have an agreement in 50 days, that's what we're doing. Secondary tariffs, and they're biting. And I hope we don't get to the point where we do, but I've been hearing so much talk. It's all talk. It's all talk, and then missiles go into Kiev and kill 60 people. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. But the purpose of this is to say that...
I will say, Trump does seem genuinely disturbed that Vladimir Putin is not playing ball. Like, it literally, I don't think he gives a shit about the death or whatever. Obviously, he doesn't care about anything but himself. But it does kind of feel like he's actually hurt. Like I don't know, not to be super parasocial, not to be parasocial with Donald Trump, but like since the Vladimir stop, since that moment where he went, Vladimir stop, I've been thinking a lot about this, and it does seem like he genuinely thought Vladimir Putin actually thought he was like super cool. I think he legitimately thought when Vladimir Putin was like, "Oh, you are the best, Mr. President. You are so bold. You are so brave. You are so strong. I hate liberals." He was like, "Oh, he loves me. He thinks I'm so strong. It's real. He respects me because I'm a powerful man, just like he is. We were gonna ride off into the sunset together on horseback, no shirt. He saw me as the apple of his eye." Like it feels like he's just actually hurt. Like he looks genuinely disturbed.
This is a very big deal we've made. This is billions of dollars worth of military equipment is going to be purchased.
That's right. Now I'm gonna send Patriot missiles to Ukraine. I didn't want to do it. Zell Disney is basically Kamala Harris, and I hate him. But now I'm sending him reluctantly the Patriot missiles because Vladimir hurt my feelings.
From the United States, going to NATO, etc. And that's going to be quickly distributed to the battlefield. Ukraine will take it up. And, you know, say what you want about Ukraine. When the war started, they had no chance. And they still would have had no chance if the equipment, they had the best equipment. Because we do make the best planes and missiles, and we make the best military equipment in the world.
Yeah, how are you gonna fucking make this seem as though it's any different than the Biden position now? That's a real question. Because, like, how does this look any different than the Biden position? Doesn't this, it is the Biden position for the record, doesn't this also make you look really fucking stupid? Because now, not only are you taking the Biden position, but you also, for the past couple of months, for no reason whatsoever, ended up harming the Ukrainian position up until you inevitably got back to the Biden position. You got fucked over by Vladimir Putin. I guess the difference is that Trump is actually negotiating. Yeah, but a negotiations process is supposed to happen where you make demands of the opposing side. A negotiation process does not mean you actually fuck over your permaban that chatter. I mean, it was it was brief. It was a small F. It wasn't that big. Okay, calm down.
World by far. You know, we have new things coming out that are beyond belief, and I'm very excited about the Golden Dome. It's going to give us very strong protection. We've already started that, but they had courage because somebody has to use that equipment, and they fought with tremendous courage, and they continue to fight with tremendous courage. But they don't have. They're losing on equipment, and Russia's really taken a very positive, very strong. I mean, what they've done the last.
I can explore why it's happening in the future.
Bombing cities. This is not because of military goals. It is just creating panic, keeping people out of their sleeps, hitting towns. It's really terrible, and it is meaning a lot of people lose their lives, but also the infrastructure, whole cities being.
Well, they're wiping out the electric. It's going to take years to rebuild it. That's going to be the next problem. Because, but that's going to take a long time. Cities, many of the cities are knocked down to the ground. Many of the people have left, but many have stayed. I don't know. They actually stay. Most have stayed. Actually, it's incredible that they stay, and knowing that a missile could be hitting your apartment house, and your apartment house that you're sitting in could collapse on top of you.
Apartment house.
And they do very heavy construction. They don't use rebar. They do very thick concrete construction. Those are heavy buildings, big buildings. And heavy buildings, and they collapse like they're made out of paper. It's unbelievable to see this happening with people, so many people being killed. So we think we're going to make progress, and we hope we're going to make progress. In the meantime, we're going to get you good service on what you need. And we really became friendly with NATO this last meeting. You know, we went from 2% to 5%, which everyone said was not even a possibility. They weren't paying 2%. Many of them were paying much less than 2%.
But even those, since you became president, all committed to the 2% before.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You are such a cuck. God damn it. I don't want to hear any fucking, unless our European counterparts are able to do the right thing and overthrow their servile administrators that have sold off their wealth to the American military industrial complex. I don't want to hear about European sovereignty ever again. They're worse than the fucking Gulf states, dude. How is that even possible? They're more servile than the Gulf states are. They're certainly way, way more servile than Latin American countries are. It's 3.5%. Stop lying.
And now collectively we committed to the 5%.
That's right, they did. They've been very good. And I think I made a lot of friends over there. We had a couple of days of very intensive talks. And they're great people. They're leaders of countries. I
think one of the craziest, most predictable outcomes of this is going to be It's going to accelerate the destruction of any kind of welfare, any kind of like social safety nets that existed, that has already been like slowly getting hit with austerity measures. And this obviously has created this environment that right-wing fascist parties have taken advantage of. Okay. And the right-wing fascist parties are going to take even more advantage of this to bring up like sovereignty conversations, only to like totally capitulate to Trump, for the record. They'll just do the same thing that Republicans do here, which is blame immigrants, as they already are. They're blaming the refugees, they're blaming Islam, all this shit. And they're going to improve their standing in their own respective democratic processes. And then of course they're going to completely stay the course when it comes to America's interests. And beefing up their militaries, reforming the UK, AfD in Germany, the Nationalist Party in France, just a way more aggressive, more militarized European Union that where racism is the only game in town.
Many of them great countries, some of them smaller countries, but for the most part, I'd say very solid, strong countries. And very successful. Some of them are among the most successful countries in the world. So that's the story. We hope that's going to have an impact on Vladimir Putin, and we hope it's going to have an impact on Ukraine also. We want to make sure that Ukraine does what they have to do. All of a sudden they may feel emboldened, or maybe they don't want. This is a very difficult situation.
Ukraine wants a peace deal.
I think so.
And they will stay committed to that, there's no doubt. They want it. But the Russians have to become...
They have to continue to want it, though.
Yeah, I agree. You and I will make sure of that.
All of a sudden they get no...
You and I will make sure of that.
We'll make sure. I feel confident that they will do what has to be done. Plus, we have certain parameters that both sides know. And we already know what should be done. So I think that's going to be... it's going to be very strong. We want everlasting peace.
When people say at least the AfD runs on anti-war, I don't know about the others. I need you to understand, it's like the same as Tucker Carlson running on isolationism. It's not real. It's bullshit. They're taking advantage of the lack of interest from liberals and the supposedly like anti-fascist coalition parties that are not anti-war at all. They're taking advantage of the void in communications. That's it. It's the exact same thing that is happening in America, and that is also like, I mean, that's what Trump did. Guys, Trump ran on anti-war. Remember, Trump ran on anti-war, okay? Now, there are real anti-war parties out there, left parties, that are actually anti-war. But their success is stunted by liberals that spend every waking moment launching a strong opposition against them rather than the actual fucking right-wing parties. Now, there is some coalition. Sometimes there are coalitions. There is a little bit of success, like with what France Unbowed was able to pull off. But then look at what Macron did.
Any questions, France? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. What was the tipping point for you in making this decision? Was it a conversation with President Putin? Was it a piece of intelligence? And why are you giving 50 more days?
I think I think it's a very short period of time. I think, don't forget, I've just really been involved in this for not very long. And it wasn't initial focus. This is a Biden war. This is a Democrat war, not a Republican or Trump war. This is a war that would have never happened. It shouldn't have happened. A lot of people being killed. When the final numbers come in, you're going to see a lot more people are being killed in this war than you think, than you've been writing about. It's a very deadly war. They're all bad, but this is a very deadly war. The numbers are going to be far greater. When an apartment house comes down, and they say 2 people were slightly injured. No, many people were killed. And those numbers will be at some point accurately reported. So far, they're not. It's a deadly war. I think that you're just going to see, I think you're going to see strong movement. I hope so. I hope so.
And what about
the secondary tariffs are very, very powerful.
What about the tariffs that the Republicans in the House and the Senate have ready? Those were 500%. Sure. Why are you doing 100%?
Well, the Republicans are moving very strongly in the Senate, giving us total control of it. But I'm not sure we need it, but it's certainly good that they're doing it. And Lindsey Graham's working hard. The whole John Thune, all of them, they're all working hard. And they're in coordination with Mike Johnson Speaker in the House. And I think they've actually crafted a pretty good piece of legislation. It's probably going to pass very easily. And that includes Democrats. And there's some little tweaks, but I don't want to say I don't need it because I don't want them to waste their time. It could be very useful. We'll have to see. But we can do secondary. We're probably talking about 100% or something like that.
So can you clarify
We can do
for me?
secondary. We can do secondary tariffs without the Senate, without the House. But what they're crafting also could be very good.
So are you suggesting then that the Congress should move forward with those sanctions, the 500%, and that your 100 would be a separate additional package?
Yeah, I mean, the 500 is, sort of meaningless after a while because at a certain point it doesn't matter. It's not going to be, it's 100. 100 is going to serve the same function. But, I have it at 100%. They may have it, I don't know what they're going to end up with. They may have it at 100 too. They may have it at 500. But they're doing some good work in the House, and I think in the House and the Senate. And as you know, they're coordinated, and they can have it done quickly. They said they'll have it as quickly as I need it. So we'll see. We're talking to him. In fact, John Thune's coming over later on to talk. Yeah, he's gonna come over.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is it your view that Vladimir Putin mischaracterized his dedication to? Is it your view that Vladimir Putin did not clarify his intention to a peace deal? And what happens now in the next phase? Is there?
We're going to start negotiating. I think I felt. I don't know about you, Mark, but I felt that we had a deal about 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, still talking about.
And he didn't send serious people to the negotiations. So I remember that you were able, with Marco Rubio and with Steve Witkoff, to get these talks going in Istanbul.
Yep.
I remember I was myself in Turkey for NATO business in May.
Yeah. Say how brilliant he was, Mark.
We really put pressure on the Ukrainians to send a senior team into Istanbul, and they did. But then the Russians came up with this historian explaining history of Russia.
Say how brilliant he was, dude. Go ahead.
We thought, and I thought, we should have had a deal done a long time ago. But it just keeps going on and on and on. And every night people are dying. A lot of Russian soldiers are dying, by the way. And a lot of Ukrainian soldiers too. But a lot of Russian soldiers are dying.
100,000 Russian soldiers since 1st of January. Since January, 100,000 Russian soldiers dead.
Dude, that is okay. That level of glaze is inappropriate. Okay? This level of fucking glaze is unacceptable. I'm sorry. Even saying that like Trump actually was brilliant in terms of dealing with Russia, that is crazy. To be like, oh, you did such a good job, Mr. President, by forcing Zelensky's hand into taking a shitty deal. Like, who the fuck believes that? You are daddy, Mr. President. You are daddy.
Damn, this guy's good.